What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode 21, and today we're just going to talk about the last week and wild frenzy of transactions over the last week since the lockout has been lifted. We're going to talk about every single team and what they've done, the impact that they have made. And starting with me tonight, we're going to kick this thing off with the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight bigs champion, a three-time champion, the commissioner of our wonderful league, Ben Nisman. Ben, how are you this evening, sir?
Doing great, man. And I'm really excited because this last week has proved to us that baseball is back. That it wasn't just a deal was made and then there was problems on both ends continuing. There's no layover. It's business as usual. Teams are making transactions. I'm pumped. Baseball is back.
I am thrilled myself, and I know our co-host this evening was thrilled as well 1 week ago when we came to this deal. From Denver, Colorado, Jason Ashby. Jason, what was your favorite move over the last week here?
Uh, gosh, let's just call it a homer pick and say that the Chris Bassett trade. Like, let's improve that rotation even more and give the Mets, three bona fide aces. Okay, that works.
Well, we will start with the NL East, but in due respect to the world champion Atlanta Braves, let's start with them first. Tip of the cap to Frank Bucco. Chipper Jones is the best switch hitting third baseman of all time. Okay, I've gotten all of the things out now. We're going to start with the big deal that they made on the 14th. They traded away Christian Pache, Shea Langeliers, Joey Estes, and Ryan Cusick, all to Oakland, and received Matt Olson. Then the next day, signed him to an 8-year, $168 million extension. I'll go over the rest of the deals that they've made already so that we can get them out of the way. But at the end of the day, we're probably going to be talking the majority of the time about this deal. They signed Colin McHugh, 2 years, $10 million. They signed Tyler Thornburg, 1 year, $900,000. Signed Alex Dickerson, a non-guaranteed major league $1 million deal, and signed Eddie Rosario, 2 years, $18 million. Ben Nisman, let's start with you. How much do you like the replacement for Freddie Freeman, and how much are you enjoying the fact that Freddie Freeman's out of the NL East?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest, Joe, from a Braves standpoint, it's hard to look at it because I can't empathize on having a guy like Freddie Freeman and what that means. However, if I look at it from an outside perspective, even if I wasn't a Mets fan, I guess that's easy to say, but what I'll say is that this is as good of a replacement as you can ask for coming off a World Series championship. Because I'm sure there are plenty of organizations, unfortunately, because the owners are who they are of some of these teams, that they would have just broken it down after a championship. And they didn't do that. They're showing the fans they're going to keep trying because they didn't just trade for a guy. They signed him for 8 years after. So I think that was a big statement that they were trying to make as an organization, and good for them. Is it unfortunate that Freddie is gone? Yeah, absolutely, especially because, I mean, as a Mets fan, like that guy tortured us. So wherever he is, even if it's the NL, it's not the same as him being in the division. So I think it's a great move for the Braves. Matt Olson, if he could show the power that he's had in Oakland to an NL ballpark, and I mean, it's going to be tough in Citi Field, but him hitting in Philadelphia, I mean, he might crush that team. So you got to like what you've seen out of. He's a young guy and may even have potential to get better. We'll see. So I think he's in a perfect scenario here with Atlanta in that lineup. If I'm a Braves fan, I'm disappointed. I'm bummed, but like I feel like I have to be satisfied.
Is there anything to the idea, Jason, that if you're willing to go 8 years for Matt Olson and what did we say, 180 something million, $168 million, but you wouldn't go 6 years for Freddie Freeman? Is there something to that? Do the Braves know something that a team will talk about down the line and the Dodgers don't?
I mean, Matt Olson's younger.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Freeman's already 32. Matt Olson's going into his 28th season. And also, you know what? He's a homeboy, right? He's coming home. So like, I feel like that probably has something to do with it. Also, I would imagine for both sides, it's a feel good story for the Braves. If you're going to replace, like Ben said, if you're going to replace Freddie Freeman, do it with a guy like Matt Olson because he's from the area. He's young. He can hit. So like you're replacing Freddie Freeman with Freddie Freeman, like as close to Freddie Freeman as you're going to get right now. I was also wondering, like, what do we think Matt Olson would have gotten 8-year, $166 million on the open market? Like, had he not signed the extension, what would he have gotten next year?
Right, especially if he doesn't have a good year. Like,
right.
If I'm Matt Olson, I want to cash out immediately.
And again, being from going home, maybe he took a little discount. I don't know, because like I feel like if he had a big year this year, he could
get more. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that he's going to get much more than this. Like, look at the deal Freddie Freeman just signed. How he got more over the length of his contract. Is it more per season? I don't know. I can't do the quick. He did. So like, how much more are you going to give this guy? How much more do you want to give this guy? Kris Bryant also just signed for a very similar number.
You're talking about but more per year was Freddie.
Right. That's what I thought. But Matt Olson Matt Olson just got really paid. Do I think he could have gotten more from another team a year from now? No.
If he has the same kind of year, it's possible.
It's possible. But I just don't think that he's going to do better than this. And this is tremendous anyway. And you're going home. Like, this is a dream scenario.
He's happy.
Do you guys want to hit on any of the other things here? Eddie Rosario, Ben?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know my opinion on that guy. And then you bring him back. He was the NLCS MVP, and he was solid again going through the World Series. I mean, he's a solid player, man. Like, very good as far as driving in runs for his career, and was on a Minnesota Twins that just had a few pesky hitters like himself and Polanco. And I guess I think Eduardo Escobar was on that team as well. And
can I be mad at this lineup yet?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to be mad at the Braves lineup now?
It's
Ozzy, like, right off of the jump.
Where would you put Eddie?
I'll tell you what Roster Resource has right now, which doesn't include Acuna, who's supposed to be out until May. They have Ozzy Albies leading off, Matt Olson batting second, Austin Riley third, Marcell Ozuna fourth, Adam Duvall fifth, Eddie Rosario sixth, Dansby Swanson seventh, Alex Dickerson as the DH is in the 8 hole, and Travis d'Arnaud batting ninth. You add Acuna to this lineup, you're moving Dickerson out of it to put Ozuna there, and they get one deeper. Am I allowed to hate this lineup yet, Jason Ashby?
It's pretty damn scary, especially once Acuna comes back. I mean, their bench pieces are, just a little whatever. Guillermo Heredia and Orlando Arcia, but that lineup is scary. Absolutely, yeah.
So Eddie Rosario in left, Duvall in center.
As it stands right now, Rosario in left, Duvall in center, and Marcell Ozuna in right.
I would imagine that when Acuna comes back,
when Acuna comes back, he'll move Duvall over.
Yeah,
right.
Or I would imagine. Or do you play Acuna in right?
You might move Ozuna to left.
I would just put Ozuna as the DH. He's the worst defensively of these four guys.
His arm is wall world though.
Yeah, I probably put Duvall in DH, to be honest.
There you go. That's not
yeah.
Either way, they're pretty set to.
Yeah.
Both of those guys could play left fields, and they could spell each other. You can use Rosario in the DH spot once in a while.
I am
It's fierce.
thankful that their rotation isn't as good as it used to be.
Well, it depends on what Fried and Ian Anderson are as the 1-2 punch.
And Morton,
like that's who they're
Morton at 30.
Morton at 30, 38 or 39.
38.
Like,
38.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Let's move on. We'll move on to our New York Mets because why the hell not? Jason hit on it earlier. We traded for Chris Bassitt, giving up JT Ginn and Adam Oller, two pretty good pitching prospects. Oller stands to be in the majors this year. Ginn probably going to be a year or two away. We signed Adam Ottavino for a 1 year, $4 million. Signed Mike Montgomery, Chasen Shreve, and Travis Jankowski, all the minor league deals. Let's talk about Chris Bassitt, guys. Ben?
Yeah, my biggest concern is that my lasting memory is him being hit in the head with baseball. So I didn't get to watch him pitch really. Jason calls him an ace. I don't know enough to call him an ace amongst, there was a couple of pitchers on that Oakland team that got them pretty close to a playoff spot, but I didn't really follow this guy. So I'm not the greatest person to ask. I mean, it sounds like he was a name that we were talking about a lot in the bigs. So
he was the ace of my staff. I'll tell you that. Yeah. He absolutely was, and yeah, he got struck in the face by that line drive, but he came back and pitched, I think, 4 or 5 more starts after that.
He's a bulldog,
and was solid. Like you couldn't even tell. Yeah, I mean, he finished with a 3.15 ERA last year. Like,
wow. Over how many starts?
Over 27 starts. 157 in the third inning. So,
and you have to imagine that he came back at the end of the season through 2 games. It was 6 1/3 total, with 1 earned run over that 6 1/3. So take that for what it is. What we are going to see is this guy is basically replacing Marcus Stroman. He's a pitch to contact, soft contact, ground ball type guy who has had an uptick in strikeout rate over the last couple of seasons. And as soon as you get that mixed with, I don't know, Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom, maybe they unlock something in this dude. I love it. I want to see them lock this dude up long term because he is a free agent at the end of this season. So we only get him for 1 year, which is why we're only giving up a bit of this. Adam Ottavino, the only other piece to the bullpen. Great. Do we like that?
I mean, I guess
he's had success, right?
He effectively replaces Juris Familia, right? That's kind of going to be his role. So I don't hate it.
Okay. Yeah. And now the bullpen of Diaz, May, Ottavino, Lugo, Miguel Castro, Drew Smith, the lefty spot, whatever it is, whether it's Jason Shreve, Alex Claudio, or someone we're not thinking of.
And I would think that there's a long man in the mix of
Trevor Williams.
Sure, Trevor Williams. And then I would also think, I mean, maybe one of these guys, I mean, maybe Tyler McGill goes to the minors, but you gotta either think that Peterson or McGill, one of these guys, could potentially end up in the bullpen.
Taijuan Walker's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He came up with some sort of knee issue in the beginning of spring here, so they're not saying if he's going to be missed time or not, but it's something to watch.
Okay.
As it stands, if he's healthy, then he's the 4, I guess, or Carrasco is the 4, and Taijuan Walker's 5. That pushes Peterson and McGill out for rotation spots.
And honestly, I would keep them stretched out in AAA because look, DeGrom is a time bomb, Carrasco's a time bomb, Walker's a time bomb. So you know that one of these guys is going to get hurt. I would not put them in the bullpen. I would keep them stretched out in AAA.
Plus, they were rushed up as it was. Let's not forget, David Peterson. The reason that we think that this dude is going to be good is because of a sample size from 2020, when he was rushed up from AA under really weird circumstances. Like, let's not pretend like this dude doesn't need seasoning in the minor leagues. Tyler McGill, same thing. He came up, he was effective, but realistically, he was way ahead of schedule. Let's just let them be. Let these 5 guys figure it out. If we need to call on them, great, we have them, but leave them stretched out.
Especially coming back from injury. I would give them all the time they need down there.
Yeah, it's not an emergency situation to have them in the bullpen right now. So
Mike Montgomery could be your guy.
Mike Montgomery is a perfect long man lefty that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's a really good signing.
And Trevor Williams for now could be your spot starter if you want to continue to keep Peterson and McGill stretched.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the Phillies, who signed Jeurys Familia, 1 year, $6 million. We'll talk about him in a minute. Odubel Herrera back with the Phillies, 1 year, $1.75 million. Brad Hand, we're familiar with him as well, 1 year, $6 million. Dylan Maples to a minor league deal, and Kyle Schwarber's the big fish, 4 years, $79 million. This one kind of sucks because I would have liked to see us land him and put him at DH. That would have been pretty cool. I also would have liked to see him land in Boston, but what does this mean for the Phillies, Ben Nisman?
Yeah, this is a very underrated signing. Very scary what this guy can bring. I mean, I think we remember the 12 home runs in 10 days that he put up out of nowhere, and very useful pickup for Boston down the stretch. So I think this is a perfect guy to put in that batting order. You look at lineups to be kind of concerned about. This one is starting to get there, Joe. Maybe not at the depth of the Braves, but still it's getting there, and they might not be done.
That's my concern, is that they're not done, and they're going to go get a shortstop, and it's going to be one of the two.
Well,
right now,
wait, hold on. So you're moving Didi?
Hang on. Yeah, let's just go over this lineup as it stands now, and then we'll go with where I think upgrades can happen. Gene Segura leading off, playing second. Kyle Schwarber now fits in very nicely as their DH. Bryce Harper third in right field. JT Realmuto cleaning up. Rhys Hoskins at first base. Didi Gregorius at short batting sixth. Alec Bohm third base batting seventh. Odubel Herrera is your center fielder, batting eighth, and Adam Hazley in left field, batting ninth. Let's not sit here and pretend like these guys are done yet. I think they can still go get another outfielder, whether that's Conforto or Castellanos. I would hate to see Castellanos come to this lineup. Would hate that. I would also... I think that there's a world in which Trevor Story lands here.
Yeah.
I think there's a world where they're going, okay, Didi, you're going to be our bench piece. Like, you're going to fill in DH. You're going to rotate through with some people. He's only got 1 year left on that deal.
There was already a story at the beginning of the offseason. Dave Dombrowski came out and said Didi is not guaranteed to be our starting shortstop coming 2022. So
I get you, but Girardi makes the decision. Girardi likes Didi. And I just don't see Girardi doing that.
Yeah, but if
Didi's healthy,
Didi's 32.
30,
32. It's not that old. If he was 36, I'd be like, if he was 35 or 36, I'd be like, all right, all of a sudden now you're becoming the bench coach, Didi. But
come on. It's not that yet.
It's not that
point with Didi.
He is the oldest one in the lineup. He is the oldest one in the starting lineup, for what that's worth.
It's worth nothing. And he's 32.
Also, like, who is their fifth starter? Hans Kraus?
Yeah, they need to go get a 5.
Yeah, that's what they need to do most.
If I'm them, wait, guys. Zach Eflin will be there. My understanding is Zach Eflin is healthy and on pace to start opening day.
Okay.
So that's their number 5. It's Wheeler, Nola, Gibson, Ranger Suarez, and Zach Eflin. Not for nothing, I like Zach Eflin in a late round pick.
Yeah. If he's healthy, absolutely.
If he's healthy.
Yeah.
Anything else to this? Do we want to talk about our former bullpen going to the Phillies of Jeurys Familia and Brad Hand, or is this just more Phillies bullpen bullshit?
Well, I mean, it's underrated moves that could potentially be useful for them at a certain stretch during the season. Look, I don't think any of us feel like the Phillies are going to make this crazy run if they're depending on Nola, Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, and Gibson and Eflin to take them forward. I just don't think that front five is going to really do much for you through a whole season. But if it somehow does, you're going to need these little pieces like Han and Familia. You're going to need these guys to help savor the rest of your arms through a long stretch in June, July.
My point to this, though, is that this just feels like another year of shit Phillies bullpen.
Yes.
They just shuffled up names that all are the same. Oh no, there's no more Hector Neris. Guess what? You got Corey Knebel now. Oh, okay. Yeah. Great. You took Jerry's Familia. You took Brad Hand.
Corey Knebel garbage?
I mean, is Corey Knebel good?
No, not necessarily, but that's what relievers are, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you can just shuffle them up and deal, and then all of a sudden you have a better hand because this group worked better than the last group. That's really what bullpens are year to year with every team.
He threw 25 innings last year to a 2.45 ERA. That's a really small sample.
It's nothing.
13 innings in 2020 to a 6.08 ERA. Like, none of this tells me anything. Nothing. The guy really hasn't thrown a full season since 2018. So that's the dude you're trusting to be the closer right now? This is just more Phillies garbage.
Is Ian Kennedy not on?
Free agent. He re-signed in Arizona. We'll talk about him later.
Wow.
The bullpen right now is Corey Knebel, Jose Alvarado, Jerry's Familia, Brad Hand, Connor Brogdon, Sam Coonrod, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Nick Nelson, Jason Ashby, Ben Nisman. Like, what?
Come on. It's not bad.
It's not good. It is not good. It is not good.
Say it's not good, but it's not bad.
Jerry's Familia replaces Hector Neris. The time bomb replaces the time bomb. Like,
I'd rather have Familia.
I mean, yes,
maybe,
but it's really like this, like the two of them. I mean, they're really.
It's a bad bullpen. It's a bad bullpen.
It's always a bad bullpen in Philadelphia.
It is always a bad bullpen. Last year was Archie Bradley and Brandon Workman. They've done this already.
2 years in a row, it's
the same guys. It's just different names. Bad bullpen. Bad bullpen. We'll move on to the Washington Nationals. Speaking of bad bullpens, they signed friend of the program and friend of Ben Nisman, Steve Cishek, 1 year, $1.75 million. They signed Aaron Sanchez, Gerardo Parra, Erasmo Ramirez, and Anibal Sanchez all to minor league deals with invites to camp. They signed Ehire Adrianza, 1 year, $1.5 million. And the big name, they signed Nelson Cruz, 1 year, $15 million with an option for 2023. And then they brought back old friend Sean Doolittle, money not disclosed yet. So let's talk about Nelson Cruz. All of a sudden, Juan Soto's got somebody hitting behind him.
Yeah, certainly something I'm scared about. I feel like that's a guy that might, in some ways, neutralize a DeGrom or a Scherzer sometimes during a series. I'm concerned about it. The age, he's sort of an ageless wonder to me. So it's not something that I'm really thinking will really hurt Washington. I don't see that being a move that puts them in as a contender. But even still, I mean, to have that, putting some ease to guys like Soto and I got it's blanking on me, the first base.
I was going to ask you how many other guys could you name in this lineup? You're talking about Josh Bell. After that, how many other names can you pick out of this lineup, Ben?
Kai Boom
is batting 8th and playing 3rd.
Who's their starting shortstop, Ben?
Who's their starting shortstop? Yeah, good point, because Turner's gone. Wait. There's an outfielder that I should know.
But we're not at...
Victor Robles.
Victor Robles batting 9th, playing center. Who's their shortstop? Who's their second baseman, Ben?
Wait, is Asdrubal Cabrera on that team?
No.
Well, hey, how about, I mean, the fact that Gerardo Parra, Baby Shark, is there. He's going to play somewhere.
Yeah. He won't play
to make
second base. Cesar Hernandez leading off for
Caesar.
this team. Alcides Escobar is their shortstop. Kybert Ruiz is their catcher. Lane Thomas, unfortunately, I think is the guy squeezed out of the top of the lineup here. Jason, you had your eye on him, didn't you?
I did, and honestly, like I'm looking at this lineup, and I feel like if I'm the Nationals, I don't want Juan Soto batting second, right? Like I'm hoping if I'm the Nationals, I'm hoping that Victor Robles is better than what he's been, and I can move him to the leadoff spot and kind of slide everybody down one. Like that's what and maybe bat Escobar ninth.
That still doesn't help Lane Thomas.
No,
Lane Thomas
think
just
it
took a
helps the
huge.
Nationals.
Yeah.
It helps the Nationals. I see what Jason's saying. Because
Yeah,
if
I mean, I don't know what Lane
bats
Thomas is
second-
going to be, but I feel like maybe he's a middle of the order bat, But I think they wanted Victor Robles to be that leadoff guy. He just can't get on base to save his life.
Right.
But ideally, I don't want Juan Soto batting second. I want him in the middle of the order.
Yeah. It's like when we were batting Cespedes second, and it was like, yeah, I understand why you're doing it, but I don't like it.
Right.
Yeah, it gets thin eventually.
Mhm.
I liked the Reyes as Drupal Cespedes in 2016. I thought that really worked for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good. The other signings they had here, Doolittle, Sanchez, Parra, Anibal Sanchez, Erasmo Ramirez, Steve Cishek. Does any of this matter?
I mean,
maybe
the Doolittle Cishek, at least gives them some stability in that bullpen, because before that, I mean, Austin Voth and
Kyle Finnegan and Tanner Rainey are the top of the bullpen right now. The guys most in line for saves here are those guys. I don't think these guys in Cishek and Doolittle, I don't think they take the job, but I think they put enough pressure on these kids to you guys have to do well in spring, or we could go with Sean Doolittle. He's closed here before.
Right. And I could see
nothing else. It's just some veteran leadership,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How about Anibal Sanchez coming back and being potentially like a number 4 or a number 5?
5 right now.
I could see that guy being a helpful piece, because he's 37, 38 years old, but if he could be, it could be an inning eater,
He could. And that's something this team might need. They're not going to be good, but
he could be to maybe to a lesser extent. He could be to what Bartolo Colon was for the Mets, when they brought him back, they brought him on. Just kind of a veteran leader to just soak up some innings, help, Josiah Gray and, these guys kind of,
Yeah, true. The only thing is that when Bartolo came over, I think, that's what he was expected to be. But then, in 2016, the dude throws to a sub 3.5 ERA. I mean, I'm not expecting that from Anibal Sanchez.
That's right. Yeah, to a lesser extent.
You would be thrilled if you would be thrilled with Anibal Sanchez if he threw to a 4.75 ERA.
Well, no.
But if he ate 160 innings, innings and did it,
yeah, I think more like a 4.3 would be
great. Yeah, that would be great. But if he could eat you 160 or 180 innings at a 4.6.
4.6. Yeah,
that's not.
It's not great.
It's not great. But
slugging.
Thank you very much, Mr. 38-year-old off the scrap heap. One more year. We'll move on
to the championship with them. Did he not?
He did. Move on to the Miami Marlins. Only 4 moves to talk about. All of the minor league deals. Roman Quinn, Jimmy Yacobonis, my love animal, spirit animal, Williams Astudillo is going to be there, and Sean Armstrong bullpen piece. Do we care?
Astudillo, right? I mean, he's your boy.
I mean, I'm all in on a Williams Astudillo jersey if he actually lands in Miami. That would be terrific. But
I mean,
nothing.
I feel like he's got a better. I mean, Nick Fortes right now is their backup catcher to Jacob Stallings. I feel like Astudillo's got to make the team.
I hope he makes the team. The world deserves it. Let's move on. We'll move on to the NL Central, and we're going to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals. Not a whole lot here either. They signed Drew Verhagen, whoever he is, 2 years, $5.5 million. This is the next Miles, the next in the wave of like Miles Mikolas, the Merrill Kelly, the Chris Flexen. This is a dude who was over in Korea for a couple of years. Nick Whitgren, 1 year, $1.2 million. Zach McAllister is a minor league deal, and Corey Dickerson, 1 year, $5 million. Do we care?
Corey Dickerson, he could be a pesky outfielder, hit some bombs for them.
Yeah, I think I think this is another guy, much like a guy we're gonna talk about in a minute, that just got a job because of the NLDH.
Yeah, he kind of lengthens that lineup a little bit, and gives them some, because otherwise it's Lars Nootbaar,
Right.
So I think Dickerson, he's not gonna break records or anything like that, but he'll help them. He'll help them.
Right. And the bullpen piece, maybe.
Yeah. The Corey Dickerson is obviously an upgrade in bat from Harrison Bader, so now you don't have to worry about carrying Bader's very weak bat. I mean, I think we've seen flashes of him being a better hitter, but realistically, he's not a whole lot. This extends the lineup so that Bader can be the 9 hitter, and we can just treat this like we used to. The other pieces they brought in, McAllister, Whitgren, and Verhagen. Like, Whitgren was decent in Cleveland for a minute. He's not going to be anywhere near the back end with all of the nice arms they have there. But, just another piece to lengthen the bullpen. I think it's a very Cardinals move.
Yep.
The Milwaukee Brewers traded for Cleveland Guardians starting pitching prospect J.C. Mejia. He was awful in 2021, and for some reason people kept streaming him. They also signed Brad Boxberger, 1 year, $2.5 million, and the big name here, Andrew McCutchen, signs 1 year, $8.5 million. Nice piece in the middle of this lineup now. Ben, how are you feeling about McCutchen? You seem to be on board with this one.
Yeah, it seems like they need somebody there that could be another veteran presence with Yelich and Lorenzo Cain. The offense to me is still a lot to be desired, but if this guy can somehow play in 130 to 145 games, then I think it was worth the $8.5 million.
It certainly is an interesting signing because now you've got a 4-man outfield that can also DH in a rolling rotation of Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, Hunter Renfroe, and Andrew McCutchen. And I don't hate that. That has a sky-high potential with not a terrible floor.
And because Lorenzo Cain's going to be 36. Mm-hmm. Christian Yelich has had back problems for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. Hunter Renfroe is a decent outfielder. So it'd be good to get these guys, and obviously McCutchen is getting up there too. So it's good to keep these guys fresh. The DH is going to do wonders for guys like McCutchen and the rest of these Brewers outfielders because you can cycle them in and out, every day.
When you add in the Rowdy Tellez, Mike Brasso pairing, because Rowdy crushes righties, Brasso crushes lefties, you add in Omar Narvaez and Pedro Severino, whatever Tyrone Taylor and Jace Peterson. We saw Jace Peterson be like some sort of superhero magic fairy PCP that Costas would put on his lineup every week. I don't hate this offense. No. If Willy Adames is really what Willy Adames was last year, like there's a whole lot of ifs that have a sky high potential. This could be the best offensive league if everything breaks right. But
I'm with they have to all be healthy, though.
Right. But I do like this addition of Andrew McCutchen. They're going to have a dogfight for the division this year, but I think this is a good move. Let's move on to the Chicago Cubs. And to be honest, this is going to be a lot because I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Cubs added a lot of pieces here. They basically resurrected an entire bullpen in the last week. Starting with Andrelton Simmons, who's not going to be in the bullpen. He's going to be their starting shortstop, 1 year, $4 million. Added Jesse Chavez, Chris Martin, Daniel Norris, David Robertson, Stephen Brault, Robert Gazelman, Adrian Sampson, Michael Givens. All of those guys have been signed to major league contracts. That's your new bullpen for the Chicago Cubs. They also added Seiya Suzuki is the big name here. 5 years, $85 million plus a $14.625 million posting fee that goes back to Japan. This whole deal is 5 years, $99 million. And they tacked on Jonathan VR at the end, 1 year, $6 million.
Wow.
Welcome to the new era of the Cubs.
Wow.
What?
It's very puzzling, I think. Like, because
are they going for it?
So it seems like, wait a minute, besides Stroman, what else did they do pre-lockout?
Let's just take a look at what their team looks like, and we'll know. All right, so we'll take a look at the Cubs lineup. Their lineup looks like Ortega, Schwindel, Wilson Contreras, Ian Happ, now Seiya Suzuki, Patrick Wisdom, Clint Frazier they added, Andrelton Simmons, Nick Madrigal. That's their lineup. Rotation: Stroman, Hendricks, Wade Miley they added, Alec Mills, and now Steven Brault. They do not have what I would call a closer. They have what I would call these guys that we literally all just named.
The entire bullpen.
I mean, what, Rowan Wick was the other piece. They had something called a Keegan Thompson. Like, that's it. This is their bullpen now. It's not good. I don't know who's closing. But this is like trending toward we're gonna compete in the next 2 or 3 years. Rather than this is a full breakdown.
But can you expect to compete in 2 or 3 years with Rafael Ortega and Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom, and Clint Frazier? Like, the Seiya Suzuki signing seems like it could work out for them great.
It's just all weird timing. It's like, what is the 5 years for Seiya Suzuki saying? Are you going to compete in the next 5 years? You're saying you're going to. And Marcus Stroman is on a 3-year deal. Kyle Hendricks is probably going to be a free agent sometime relatively soon. And we're talking about a lineup that, is pretty controllable.
And by the way, you still have Jason Hayward, who's on the books for another 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you doing with him?
You're getting rid of him. You are getting rid of him to anyone who will take him. You are getting rid of him.
Yeah. Like,
it's weird. I don't think they're done. What if they go out and sign like Trevor Story to play short and move Simmons
to something?
Yeah. I don't know. Let's move on to the Cincinnati Reds, which is going to anger me quite a bit because it's the Cincinnati Reds. Waiting to see what's going on with Benny here. I think he had some technical difficulties here a moment ago. Ben, are you still with us? Guess not. There we go. Let's talk about the Reds. The Reds traded away Sonny Gray to get whatever Chase Petty is. And they tacked on Francis Piguero. I don't even know who that guy is. But you traded 2 guys for some 19-year-old kid who's got 100 and something mile an hour fastball. Like, great. What? Traded away Eugenio Suarez. I get that's contract relief because he signed a huge deal. But you also had to trade away Jesse Winker, who's like essentially the number 2 guy in your franchise behind Joey Votto, for Justin Dunn, who the Seattle Mariners got from us in the Robinson Cano trade, Brandon Williamson, a top pitching prospect, and outfielder without really a position to play, Jake Fraley. What?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not done. They signed Donovan Solano 1 year, $4.5 million. They signed, careful how you pronounce his name, Buck Farmer to a minor league contract. They traded Amir Garrett and got terrific 2021 performer Mike Minor and signed Colin Moran just today. What the actual fuck are they doing? They signed Nick Castellanos 2 years ago, and he just walked in free agency, and you guys basically just went, oh, well, if you're going to do this, can you please trade Joey Votto to a winner? Because if this is how Joey Votto's career is going to finish, is playing alongside Jake fucking Fraley, and Mike fucking Minor. It is a disgrace, and the Reds should be ashamed of themselves.
Like Tyler Stevenson's batting cleanup for this team. Is that really going to happen?
And how do you justify keeping Castillo and Molly at this point?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? I get you won't be able to have anybody take Mike Moustakas. He's owed a lot of money.
Right.
And you're not moving Jonathan India because he's the future.
I don't know how many chances you're giving Nick Senzel. I mean, he can't stay on the field.
At this point, you just chalk up your losses in that with that guy. But Stevenson stays. Moustakas probably has to stay because he's expensive. Joey Votto might have to stay because he's expensive, but if you can get somebody to take him, I think you'd owe it to Joey Votto. That's it. Like that's it. There's no bullpen pieces that need to stay. There are no rotation pieces that need to stay. Like Vladimir Gutierrez is your future.
Yeah.
Vladimir Gutierrez.
He's
Justin
27.
Dunn, Hunter Green, Brandon Williamson. Like those are the four dudes you're going with in the future. Nick Lodolo is another top prospect.
Gutierrez and Dunn are already 27. Like it's not the future really anymore. That's like you're looking for them to perform now.
It's disgusting. It is disgusting what the Reds have done, and they're not even the worst offender this week. But we'll get to that later.
More to come on that.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Pirates. Not a whole lot to talk about here. They claimed Aaron Fletcher off of waivers. They signed Heath Hembree 1 year, $2.125 million. Signed Daniel Vogelbach 1 year, $1 million with a $1.5 million club option for 23. They signed Chase DeYoung to a minor league deal. They signed Austin Bryce to a minor league deal, and they claimed Adonis Medina off of waivers from the Phillies. I don't care about any of this. Daniel Vogelbach got a job because the NLDH exists, and he got $1 million from arguably one of the worst franchises in baseball.
And he instantly becomes their cleanup hitter.
Exactly. It's what it takes. It's what it takes.
Yeah.
It's absolutely what it takes nowadays to get $1 million in Major League Baseball is to be left-handed and a big, beefy baseball boy. Speaking of big, beefy baseball boys, Ben Nisman, you're back. Are we good now? Do we have all the technological issues under control?
You have my undivided attention.
No problem.
I'll say that.
We covered the Reds and the Pirates.
Yeah, I was like, what did I miss with the Reds?
The Reds, they're trading off everybody.
Yeah, they added some prospects. Any notable prospects?
Justin Dunn, whom we traded to Seattle in the Cano deal, is now on the Reds. Brandon Williamson was their top pitching prospect. Jake Fraley was an outfielder without a home. They traded for Chase Petty, who's like this 19-year-old who could throw 103 miles an hour. And they traded for innings eater Mike Minor. Whoopty shit. No big deal. The Pirates. The Pirates didn't do anything either. They assigned a bunch of minor league deals and Dan Vogelbach. That's it. Dan Vogelbach is now their cleanup hitter and gets $1 million to be the NLDH. Moving on to the NL West, and here's where things get interesting because we're going to start with the Dodgers. Let's talk about what the Dodgers did. Bring back Clayton Kershaw, 1 year, $17 million. Signed Hanser Alberto, 1 year contract. I didn't see money yet announced. They signed Jake Lamb, Mike Wright, Yency Almonte, and Reyes Moronta to minor league deals. They re-signed Jimmy Nelson to a 1 year deal with a club option. They signed Shane Green to a minor league deal. And guys, of course, they signed Freddie Freeman, 6 years, $162 million. The lineup is frightening. It is Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman top three. Ben Nisman, what?
Yeah, I mean, you can keep going now, like Will Smith and Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy and me, Gavin Lux. I mean, it's too much. It's too much. It's the best offense in baseball. It's the equivalent to a super team. As much as you can have one, and the rotation is not maybe as scary as a Mets from the front three perspective. However, Arias is the only 20-game winner in baseball last year. So you can't think that he's a nothing as a number three.
I think he's their number 2 behind
He's
Walker
number 2.
Buehler.
Yeah, you can argue that if you want to stay
Clayton Kershaw
as
would be the
3.
3, yeah. And then Tony Gonsolin and Andrew Heaney. I mean, you know all about Andrew Heaney, right, Ben?
Sure, that's a bad 5. If that's really it, though.
I mean,
Dustin
I guess
May will be a something too.
Dustin May shouldn't be a something. He had Tommy John last year in May. That means a year would be May, 16
Might miss the
months.
whole year.
He would probably miss all of this year.
I
But
would
he'd
think
be
so.
healthy to go in 23, which sucks because the kid was looking like he was going to be a really promising prospect. The name that we're really concerned about and questioning here is Trevor Bauer. Without getting any deeper into that, just know that that name floats out there. And if we see him in a Dodgers uniform, that lengthens that rotation immensely. However, whether or not that happens remains to be seen.
Yeah.
The rest of these moves here, we did talk about Kershaw here with the rotation. Do we care about Shane Green, Jimmy Nelson, Hanser Alberto, Jake Lamb, Mike Wright, Yency Almonte, or Reyes Maranta?
Maybe that second guy.
Shane Green, Hanser Alberto, Jimmy Nelson.
Shane Green.
He closed in Detroit for a minute and then was terrible with the Braves.
Okay. But still, can't act like he's a nothing. I mean, that's a guy that can get outs for you.
Yeah, if he makes the roster. It's a minor league deal.
Yeah. And Hanser Alberto, I thought was just interesting that he actually got he got a major league contract, and B, from the Dodgers, who have one of the best infields in baseball. Like, but this is Dave Roberts' strength, right? Is finding ways to move people around, and if Chris Taylor has to go play in the outfield, you can put Alberto into second base. Like, he's gonna find ways to mix and match the best of anybody. So
it's just an interesting bat.
Yeah. He's just another special player that you just mentioned, Jason. Having Chris Taylor there he's such a dynamic player. Forget it, his fantasy value we know about, but just as a Major League Baseball player, what another guy to have. Is Gavin Lux going to play center field for them?
Right now,
or is it Bellinger? I mean,
right now it stands to reason that Gavin Lux is a bench piece. The roster resource has it Mookie Betts in right batting first, Trey Turner batting second at short, Freeman now at first batting third, Justin Turner at third batting fourth, the DH is Muncy batting fifth, the catcher's Will Smith batting sixth, Chris Taylor at second batting seventh, Cody Bellinger, the center fielder, batting eighth, and AJ Pollock, the left fielder, batting ninth.
Pollock ninth?
Yeah.
He bet fifth in what, a third of the major league teams right now.
I mean, Cody Bellinger batting eighth. I know he's been terrible, but
he was.
What if he hits 40 homers this year?
MVP in 2019. Not not that long ago.
Right. Scary.
That's insane.
Unbelievable team.
Hey, how about your shirt team there, Joe?
You want to talk about the Padres? All right, let's talk about the Padres.
Make it real quick.
Well, the Padres haven't signed anybody. They haven't done anything. They have been linked to so many guys. Freeman.
In fact,
go ahead.
Well, not only did they not sign anybody, they lost Tatis.
Fernando Tatis Jr. They lost their franchise guy for 3 months because of a fractured wrist.
Hey, can I go back a little bit? I know that we covered the team already. It's just something that passed and we didn't really discuss it, but the Suzuki signing. What do you guys all think of that? What do you make of a guy like that making this much money before he even plays baseball? The posting fee is irrelevant, but you talk about the Cubs trying to make a splash. Out of all the teams, this was one of the last teams that I could have thought would have done it. So can we? I'm sorry that we have to dial back, but
that's fine.
It seemed like it was something.
We can jump back there. It's a decent time to do so. Take us off. Take our minds off of
the Padres
Fernando Tatis Jr. and the Padres who've done nothing. Seiya Suzuki, I think it sends a weird message to their locker room because what we're talking about here is like you've signed this guy for $5 million or 5 years over and $85 million. Stroman only got 3 years. There's not a whole lot of money on the books after next year. So it's like, what is this guy supposed to be? Is this a building block for the future? And are you going to compete in the 5 years that he's on the roster? I don't know. And I don't know what their next move is, but it certainly seems to reason that either they're not done and they're going for it this year, or they're going to blow it up at the deadline, get a whole bunch of prospects, and hope to compete at the back end of this 5 years.
Maybe.
Right. Because so what does this say for the future of Wilson Contreras, who is supposed to be the next guy to leave town? But like now, do you not send him away? Like, what are you doing with him? Yeah, I'm still baffled by what the Cubs are doing.
It's pretty insane. Pretty insane. All right. The Padres lost their franchise player. San Francisco Giants started everything off. Carlos Rodon, 2 years, $44 million. It includes an opt-out after this season if he throws more than 110 innings. So, ball out, bet on yourself, but you're still going to make $22 million for 2 seasons, $22 million apiece, if you stay with this team. And, I mean, you're going to the team that won the most games in the majors in 2021. They signed Carlos Martinez and Jose Godoy to minor league deals. They signed Jacob Junis 1 year, $1.75 million. They signed Jock Peterson as a pretty surprising name, 1 year, $6 million, and Matthew Boyd, 1 year, $5.2 million, with an additional $2.3 in incentives based on innings totals and things of that nature. This is the new rotation. Carlos Rodon replacing. I think we just have like a circle here with Robbie Ray, Kevin Gossman, and this guy.
Yeah,
these three.
Basically. Yeah. Like, what a rotation. I mean, you add Wood and DeStefani to that. It's Cobb. There's enough pieces now that, they're not all going to work. You're going to have a couple of failures in that group. But there's 7 or 8 deep in that rotation of major league ball players. A few are going to hit, man. Even if Logan Webb is a bust. Like, maybe if that guy actually isn't that good of a player. Again, they essentially have 5 or 6 guys that they could go to war with every day. So I like what they're doing. Jock Peterson essentially replaces Kris Bryant as best as you can. You want a warrior like that that's like a clubhouse type of guy. So I like the moves. This team can possibly win the division again. I like Gabe Kapler. Do they have to deal with the mighty Dodgers right now? Yeah, but they won the division last year. So it's hard to bet against a team like that. It's going to be a 2-horse race.
It's an interesting lineup because as it stands right now, it's really lefty heavy, but their entire bench is righty. So it's, again, just a shit ton of platoons. Jock Peterson probably just fits as a platoon with Brandon Belt at first base, DH, and maybe an outfield spot with, I don't know,
Darren Ruff,
Austin Slater, who knows? Like any one of the random creator wrestlers that you.
Yeah.
You're right, but you're right though. It's an interesting lineup, and I remember I'll never forget when the Mets were playing the Giants last year. That like, I forget who the Mets had on the mound, but it was Gabe Kapler. Like basically, once the Mets took out their starter, Gabe Kapler wiped out his entire lineup and put all his bench places in to flip the other way. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what he's going to keep doing, even with Jock Peterson now. The names don't jump out at you like the Dodgers do. I mean, Lamonte Wade is batting cleanup. Mm-hmm. Like, that doesn't scare you. But the fact that he can mix and match lefty-righty as well as anybody in the game, that's going to keep them, with everybody.
It's going to be such an interesting team to watch, and all of these pieces are going to fit at some point into the success of this team or lack thereof. Matthew Boyd, like all of these pieces are really interesting too because this Carlos Martinez signing reeks of Johnny Cueto a few years ago. Just absolutely reeks of that. And Cueto had a really nice career with them. This Matthew Boyd signing reeks of Kevin Gossman or any one of Anthony DeSclafani, a name we've already mentioned. Carlos Rodon, I mean, maybe he could find even another gear here and put together a long season like this. And that's what the opt out is for. You succeed 1 year with us, you go test your market and see what you can get.
I love that clause. If you pitch 110 innings, because it's Carlos Rodon, you don't know, his arm could fall off, and throws 20 innings. But
good point.
I love that clause.
Yep. It's so interesting, and this team is so talented. I love their front office. I wish we could kidnap them and make them work for the Mets.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Rockies. We're going to talk about the Rockies, and I'm going to have another rant here. I had a rant about the Reds. You'll have to check that out, Ben, when we post this. The Rockies signed Scott Schebler to a minor league deal. They signed Jose Iglesias 1 year, $5 million. They signed Alex Colomé 1 year, $4.1 million. They signed member of the 2018 Mike Trout trade, Chad Kuhl, minor league deal, and they signed Kris Bryant, 7 years, $182 million. Why? Why?
That's the whole rant?
No. Just a few years ago, you signed Nolan Arenado to a $200 million contract and then paid the St. Louis Cardinals $50 million to take him off your hands. The following year, you let Trevor Story walk for nothing. You got nothing for him. You've gotten nothing for John Gray. You signed Herman Marquez to a long-term contract.
And
you haven't created a prospect since other than Trevor Story in a decade.
Yeah, Blackman is the other guy, I guess.
Yeah. Ben Paulson. Oh my God, I have an entire list of them. It goes on and on and on and on and on. David Dahl is a mess. This is the most inept front office I've ever seen in my entire life. So you add the $50 million onto that contract. It's now 7 years for $232 million. To what? To play alongside Garrett Hampson? And here's the other thing. Kris Bryant sued the Cubs to get his free agency a year sooner because of service time manipulation. He didn't win. He had to stay with the Cubs. He gets traded to the Giants, sees unbelievable success, and signs with the Rockies.
Yeah.
What? This is what
I don't blame Bryant if they're going to give him all that money. Why the heck not?
Yeah, no. You if this is so much more than any other deals he was seeing on the table, then yeah, you take it and go. I'll take your money, dummy. Like.
Yeah, he's going to make a happy home in Denver.
Exactly. On a fourth place team at best.
That's just it. He is going to crush it here, and it's just going to be the Kris Bryant show. Like, he's not going to win any more rings. He got his ring in Chicago. Now he's just going to hit home runs.
Yeah.
Now go make your money. And I'll be honest, this does intrigue me to buy him in the bigs. Like, he certainly is climbing my draft boards and my rankings. Like, man, I really the one I have right now is at first base. Would you take Kris Bryant or a guy we'll talk about in a little bit, Anthony Rizzo? Ben?
It's a good question. Firstly, I'd have to look right now on the app to see how many positions Kris Bryant actually has.
First, third, and the corners?
I think he's got all three.
Yeah, he might have
He has all three, first and third.
Yeah, that makes him incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I gotta, even though I love, and we'll talk about that Yankees lineup because if I'm a Yankees fan, I realize no real sexy move to get excited for. The Yankee lineup is nice.
It'll be nice.
It'll be nice. The rotation is yucky. but the bats, I would sign up for that in a heartbeat. But yeah, as far as your question, Joe, right now, because that position eligibility, 5 spots in our league. I'm sure in most leagues they just get the outfield.
Right.
For us, we play left, center, and right. He has all 3 of them. It's a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah, I think so.
Plus hitting
Coors
is going to be nasty.
Coors is a big part.
I wonder if we'll see the big splits that we've seen from people in the past. Trevor Story is a perfect example of it. Nolan Arenado, more late in his career with Colorado, was that way. Charlie Blackmon has been that way in recent years. However, it'll still be incredible. Kris Bryant's career high in home runs is what, like 37?
Sounds about right. I mean,
during his MVP year?
2016 is the MVP year.
Yeah.
39 in 2016. Yeah.
Okay. Over or under 38 and a half home runs as the peak number throughout this contract.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying on
average? Ever. No. Ever. Will he ever hit more than 39 or more home runs in Colorado ever?
No, I'll say no. Not with what they're doing with the baseball now.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can see 35 I could see, but
I can see that as the average.
Right. Approaching 40, that might be a stretch.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they have a rotation of Marquez, Freeland, Senzatella, Gomber, and Cool. Yeah. Terrific. All right, let's move on now over to the Arizona Diamondbacks, which will round off the NL. They signed Ian Kennedy 1 year, $4.75 million with $2.35 in incentives and a mutual option for next year. They signed Grayson Greiner. Ben, what position does Grayson Greiner play?
Catcher.
Good job. He's a minor leaguer.
Tigers.
Well, now he's a Diamondback in the minor leaguers.
I know, but I'm just saying that.
You nailed it.
Guy that I went. I had to go to that guy sometimes on a light day, like a Monday or a Thursday.
They also signed former Pirates closer Keone Kela to a minor league deal. That's it. This team is going to be awful. It's going to be an awful, awful team. They were an awful team last year. And
why sign Ian Kennedy? Like, why spend the money?
In case Kennedy? Mark Melancon. Like, Mark Melancon's the other guy there. He was a Diamondback for a long time, and he might retire after this year.
Sure.
I don't know.
He's still successful. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Anyway.
Yeah. Nothing to write home about there. We'll move on.
Yeah.
We'll start in the AL East. Ben, you were just talking about how much you wanted to talk about the Yankee lineup. Let's talk about what the Yankees have done. They signed Ronald Guzman to a minor league deal. They traded away Giovanni Urshela and Gary Sanchez, receiving Josh Donaldson, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and Ben Rortvedt, a backup catcher, all from Minnesota. They signed Tim LaCastro to $900,000 if he reaches the majors. Phillip Evans to a minor league deal, former Mets prospect. They signed Anthony Rizzo 2 years and $32 million, and they signed Ryan LeMaire to a minor league deal. Ideally, all we're really going to talk about here is Rizzo and the big trade. So, Ben, tell me what you're thinking about this Yankees lineup. I'll give you the rundown here, and you tell me if you see any holes.
Okay.
Leading off right now, as Roster Resource has it, Anthony Rizzo, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton is the DH, Josh Donaldson at third, Joey Gallo in left, Glaber at second, Hicks in center, Falefa in shortstop, and Ben Rortvedt is the starting catcher, batting ninth.
Well, they I wouldn't put it past them to add a catcher. They could go with Higashioka and Ben as their platoon, if you will. See what they have there. Aside from that, you question Hicks's health. If he really is a starting center fielder, he's all world defensively, amazing, and you could probably live with the offense he's going to bring if everyone else does their part there. Torres batting where he is there at sixth, I could live with that possibly. Again, if everyone else does their part, he should have a lot of opportunities to drive in runs. Where did they stash DJ LeMahieu in that lineup?
On the bench.
No, that doesn't make
and
sense.
that's the question. That's where
Something's
it
wrong.
stands right now. So what are we doing here? We're playing Rizzo at first. Yes,
that's for sure. Yes.
So you want to play DJ at second?
Yeah, I think you'd have to right now. I mean, at this point, who's a better defensive second baseman, Torres or LeMahieu?
Probably LeMahieu.
I would think
Plus,
so.
LeMahieu is the better bat right now.
Right. I'm assuming. I mean, right now, firstly, they said that Stanton is going to be playing left field, like a majority. Like he's going to be playing the outfield. He's not going to be DHing.
So your outfield is then Aaron Judge, Joey Gallo, and Giancarlo Stanton?
I think so.
So yeah. Hicks is not your starting center fielder.
Good luck, Aaron.
I would think.
First of all, I don't think they're done. Let me say that. Right. I don't think they're done. I think there's still trades to happen. I don't think Luke Voit isn't in this lineup.
Or Torres. One or both of them.
Or both of them, yeah. You've got to freeze something up here, and you have to go get a pitcher. If this is not literally Luke Voit and Gleyber Torres to the Oakland Athletics for Sean Manaea and Sean Murphy, like, and maybe even you eat Ramon Laureano too as a center field option.
What does Voit make though? How much money does Voit make? Because like, if he makes a good amount, Oakland's not taking that guy. Torres is a different story. Torres probably doesn't make as much as Voit.
Luke Voit last year made $4.7 million. He's arbitration eligible, so it's to be determined what he's going to make. But he's under team control through 2024, so you would get this year, next year, and 24.
And the other. Yeah.
And he did lead the league in homers in 2020. Like
2 years.
All he's done is hit when he's healthy. All he's done is hit when he's healthy. But the Yankees are literally like shitting on this dude.
Special place in my heart for last year in my fantasy team, man.
Of course, in 2020 for me.
Yeah, there you go. Back-to-back championships for that guy. Their rotation has a lot to be desired now that we hear this news about Domingo Germán. I mean, we're talking about Cole, Taillon, I guess Severino and Debbie Garcia's got to get thrown in there. Maybe
Jordan Montgomery.
Montgomery and Nestor Cortez.
That's the five. It's Cole, Montgomery, Severino, Cortez, and Taillon.
Okay, so then Debbie is out of the mix right now.
Yeah, he's in the minors right now. He's probably in there. He could be behind Luis Hill. He could be behind Michael King.
Right.
He could be behind Clark Schmidt. There's a lot of things that could happen.
It's deep, but it's a whole lot of question marks, different kinds of question marks, including Cole.
Yeah.
You know?
And then the bullpen is Aroldis Chapman, Jonathan Loaisiga, Chad Green, Clay Holmes, Wandy Peralta, Joely Rodriguez, Lucas Luetge, and Albert Abreu. Is that a good bullpen? I don't know.
Maybe if Heel is also there, Luis Heel, if he's going to be possibly Nestor Cortez.
There will be no Zach Britton. We know that. There will be no Zach Britton.
No.
He had Tommy John in September. You won't see him until 2020.
That's it.
He's gone.
At least.
And he's a free agent at the end of the 23 season. So he's pitching for a contract when he comes back. The lineup is nice. You gotta. There's still stuff to be done here. This does not feel like it's complete.
What do you guys think about them taking on this Donaldson contract? It's 2 years. It's a bunch of money.
50.
It's a 36-year-old. It's a 36-year-old former MVP. Like, there's all these things you can go back and forth. Yeah, but he's this. Yeah, but he's that. You know. So you look back and forth. Personally, I like this guy. I think he's such a baller. You know, you got a lot of moxie behind a player like this, and that might be what you need in that clubhouse. What kind of leadership do you really have after Judge? I mean, not that Judge is a bad leader or anything, but he's not really the rah-rah guy. Not that Brett Gardner is necessarily. I don't know if you need that necessarily as a winning ball club. Some teams might need it. Maybe the Yankees do. This guy provides that.
Wouldn't
but the
Anthony
problem is,
Rizzo bring the same thing?
Oh
yeah,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Did
You know
Anthony
what?
Rizzo cost $50 million and players? Anthony Rizzo led his team to a championship. Josh Donaldson hasn't done that.
Yeah.
I think
No,
bringing in Rizzo is a leadership move in and of itself.
that team.
Josh
fell a
Donaldson
little
doesn't
bit
get along with Garrett Cole.
Right.
That might not be a thing though. Once they're on the same team, that could get blown right over. I can see that not mattering.
This just feels a whole lot like what we were talking about with when Steve Cohen took over the Mets and the looking at a certain team as an evil empire because they buy everybody. But this is like going to the store and being like, I want to have Nolan Arenado too. You have Nolan Arenado at home. And Nolan Arenado at home is Josh Donaldson. Because the St. Louis Cardinals traded for Nolan Arenado and got $50 million. But all Hal Steinbrenner heard was third baseman, $50 million. Josh Donaldson makes sense. Like, come on, dude. This is not hard to figure out. They had to get rid of Gary Sanchez. He needs a fresh start, and he needs to go somewhere because the Bronx is no longer ever going to love him. They think he's lazy. They think he's just not going to ever hustle, and he's terrible on defense. So they just want to get rid of him at any means possible. Mike Haber has been on this show and is on record saying he doesn't care for Gary Sanchez at all. All of that being said, you don't just like throw these things away. And Gio Urshela is a decent third baseman, a hell of a lot cheaper than $50 million over the next 2 years. This is your offseason. Congratulations. You spent $80 million over the next 2 years to go get Anthony Rizzo and Josh Donaldson.
I think that's still better than Gio Urshela and Sanchez, though. That did make the lineup better, bringing in Donaldson versus having those guys.
But how does that change? How is that changing what this lineup is? These two dudes are exactly the same as Joey Gallo, Giancarlo Stanton, and Aaron Judge. Now you've got 5 of them.
You think Josh Donaldson's like those guys?
Yes. Yes.
And my concern is Josh Donaldson has had calf injury after calf injury after calf injury. And so eventually, if you have to move him to the DH position, what are you doing with all these other DHs that you got?
That's what I'm saying. All of these dudes are the same. Yeah. They're all one-dimensional dudes that play a position, but are probably best as a DH because of an injury risk. Gallo, Donaldson, Stanton, Judge. Rizzo.
Yeah.
5 dudes. That's half your lineup.
And now you got LeMahieu on the bench, just kind of sitting there going, where am I playing?
Well,
you brought in Kiner Falefa for his defense. I think you're going with a defensive first middle infield, and I get that. LeMahieu's going to be the second baseman. It's Glaber that's going to be going. Let's just act as if Glaber's not on this team anymore. And for the all sake of argument, so is Luke Voigt. Neither of these guys are probably going to be on the everyday roster.
Yeah.
I digress.
I could see Torres being there longer than Voigt.
I could see one of them staying. Yeah, I could see one of them staying, and it probably would be Glaber. That being said, LeMahieu's your second baseman. Okay. He doesn't have any speed. He does not steal bases. Gleyber Torres we're taking out of the lineup. He has speed. Aaron Hicks, he's a switch hitter. That's the only anomaly about him.
And it's great defense.
And he's good on defense. So is Kiner Falefa. So now you're saying center field and middle infield is good. With DJ, Kiner Falefa, and Hicks. With a whole bunch of holy shit question marks. Ben Rortvedt might be a great defensive catcher. I don't know. But what you've got is good defensive up the middle, and then literally there is no speed on this team. Who steals a base for this team?
Do you need that to win?
You know who's stealing bases? Tim LeCastro. That's who they brought in to steal bases.
What's the difference? I mean, look, the stolen base is kind of more dead than it used to be in this age of baseball. I mean, I don't think they need a speedster to win games. They need a guy to hit the ball in the gap and clear the bases. Won't matter how fast they are at that point when Judge hits a double to clear them, So I don't think that's their concern right now. Do they need to add a pitcher, in my opinion?
Yes.
They do.
That's unquestionable.
But aside from that, Joe, I think offensively this team is strong.
It's just so one-dimensional.
It is.
It's
there's
so
a lot
one-dimensional.
Of
and there's going to be
a lot
streaks
of
where
power.
there's going to be streaks where this lineup sucks. Like sucks out loud and very loudly. They will suck. They'll go a week where they'll score 3 runs and they'll be looking like 45 strikeouts.
Right.
But there will be absolute pitchers that they eat alive and won't make out of the second inning. I get that. It's just one-dimensional. I don't think this is the change that Yankee fans were hoping for, and I wish Mike Haber was here to weigh in. Yeah. We'll move on to the Red Sox. Jake Diekmann, 2 years, $8 million. Matt Strahm, 1 year, $3 million, and Dan Altavilla, 2-year minor league deal. Do we care?
I hate Diekmann. I think he's such a Jekyll and Hyde pitcher. It's
a lefty. Like that's, I guess, all that matters there is that they now have a lefty.
They got to go get someone. They were so close to an AL championship. I mean, they're not that far off. They need. I mean, obviously, they're going to need another nice year out of Kike Hernandez and a Daubach and some of these other pieces. Obviously, you expect what you're going to get from Bogarts and Devers and JD. I mean, they need another guy, I think, in that offense.
I'm not so concerned about their offense. I'm just wondering, like, can you really expect what can you expect? Can you expect another good year from Nathan Eovaldi as your number one starter?
Sale. Why wouldn't Sale be the number one?
Because he has a rib fracture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez. How long is he out for?
He gonna miss some time.
Yeah.
He just got found out about, so we don't really have a prognosis on when he'd be able to get back, but at the bare minimum, he's going to miss the start of the season. So now you're going into the season with Nate Eovaldi again as your ace, with Nick Pivetta, Rich Hill, Michael Wacha, and Tanner Houck.
Yeah.
No Garrett Richards anymore, huh?
Free agent.
No. That's
good decision.
Yeah,
I don't mind a Jake Diekmann signing because, like, to me, like, he has closing experience, and until you pair him with Matt Barnes, and like, okay, you got some right lefty late inning action.
I don't think Diekman's going to factor into the late innings. I think he and Strahm were just literally brought in as 2 lefties. We'll figure out which one of you is going to make the roster. Sorry, I don't see Diekmann as a late inning high leverage guy. He was very nice in Oakland, but how many Oakland closers have gone out and actually done anything?
Blake Trinan.
He sucked in Oakland. He was good everywhere else.
Was Diekmann the one that got traded to Minnesota and then was just terrible?
No.
Am I thinking of somebody else?
Nope.
I'm thinking of a different reliever that came from Texas, I think. Okay.
We'll move on. Baltimore Orioles. Go ahead.
We do have a signing to a team that we've already discussed.
Okay.
Danny Duffy has reached a 1-year agreement with the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Do we care?
I mean, if he's healthy, maybe
ace of the Royals or something.
Is he better than Andrew Heaney?
I don't know
that. Isn't anyone better than Andrew Heaney? What did Andrew Heaney do that was good last year? Andrew Heaney was awful. Like maybe one moment in the bullpen for the Yankees.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think. Look,
I think those two could fight for the 5 spot, though.
Well, Duffy will be out for a few months. He missed the end of last year with a flexor strain in his forearm. So he got traded to the Dodgers midseason and never pitched for them because of that injury. So they brought him back on a 1-year deal, but he's probably looking at midseason.
Not going to pitch much. All
right. All right. So I mean, I know we haven't talked about Toronto yet, and we'll get to them. But like, do you guys think it's a 2-horse race with the Yankees in Toronto? Or do you think Boston, the Rays? I mean, is it a foregone conclusion that the Rays win the division? Not necessarily.
I think it's a 2-horse race, but I don't think the Yankees are in it.
Interesting.
Not until I see what they're going to finish out doing. Until I see what they get for Glaber and Voit and what they've improved the rotation with, they're not in it. I can't believe in that rotation at all. I think it's the Jays and the Rays, and we'll get to them immediately following the Baltimore Orioles, who signed Robinson Chirinos 1 year, $900,000. Jordan Lyles Yeah, Jordan Lyles, 1 year, $7 million. Do you care? Chris Owings, minor league deal. Chris Ellis, minor league deal. Orioles suck. They lost Adley Rutschman now for a few more weeks. So
yeah, but
good.
he might be still ready for opening day, I think.
Right. That was the only excitement I had, was hopefully I could get Adley Rutschman in the draft and he would actually start on time. He won't. I'm not doing that anymore.
Are you sure he's not? Wait. Are you sure he's not starting on time?
Yeah. If he has an injury question and they can manipulate his service time, there's just no reason not to.
They can manipulate his service time? I thought that was one of the things that was...
Arbitration's still a thing. All that's still like the way it's going to happen. Yeah. Moving on to the Toronto Blue Jays, they signed Yusei Kikuchi, 3 years, $36 million, and then traded for Matt Chapman from the Oakland Athletics. We'll get to what the Oakland Athletics got back when we talk about the Oakland Athletics. So let's talk about Matt Chapman and Yusei Kikuchi coming to Toronto. Kikuchi certainly lengthens the rotation. Ben, is this now the best rotation in the AL East?
1 to 5? It's hard to argue against it, right? Because, like, there's a guy there in each spot. And wait a minute. Do we believe Manoah can really do what he did last year, though? Like, is that a guy?
What if he's just a 4?
And then Kikuchi's are 5?
Yeah.
That's all he needs to be, is a 4.
All he needs to do is be a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barrios, Gausman,
Ryu is 1 right now, right? You would say
Barrios. They just signed Barrios to a huge contract. Yeah. And Gausman's coming from San Francisco.
Amazing year.
Is really good. Year. So those two guys and Ryu.
You could argue they had 3 number 2s, basically.
Mm-hmm. I think they have 5. I think they have 4 number 2s and a number 3 in Kikuchi. Like, I think this is a really good rotation. 3? I think he could be. Yeah.
He can be. The son of a gun statistics last year.
Oh, you want to hear about Yusei Kikuchi?
I can do it. I got my nifty phone here.
Look at this.
I say Kikuchi.
4.41 ERA. 157 innings, a 7-9 record, 163 strikeouts, over 62 walks. 27 home runs is kind of a gaudy number.
Yeah, it might go, and that might even go up in the AL East. That might be ugly. But again, if he's a 5, fine. A 3, maybe on the Orioles.
Yeah, I consider this guy more of a 4 to a 4.5.
And all they did was sign him, 3 years, 36? That's $12 million a year. That's Taiwan Walker money. That's Taiwan Walker money. Yeah.
He's their 5. It's a good deal.
It's a really solid deal.
Yeah. Now it's about the other guy that they traded for.
That's the big name, is Matt Chapman. And where he fits into this lineup is just gross, right? I mean, he's a Gold Glove, all-world third baseman defensively. And now you're putting him next to Bo Bichette in an infield with Kevin Biggio, I assume, at second base, and Vlad Guerrero at first. This lineup, I will read: George Springer in center leading off, Bo Bichette at short batting second, Vlad Guerrero at first batting third, Teoscar Hernandez is the DH batting fourth, Lourdes Gurriel is the left fielder batting fifth, Matt Chapman now the third baseman batting sixth, Randall Grichuk is the right fielder batting seventh, Kevin Biggio second base batting eighth, Danny Jansen and or Alejandro Kirk catching.
Who did you have? Wait, sorry. Who did you have leading off?
George Springer.
Right. And what position is he playing?
Center field.
George Springer's playing center field. Why wouldn't you have Grichuk play center and George Springer in right? Doesn't that make more sense?
George Springer he's a dynamite center fielder.
Yeah.
But my concern, the one concern I have, and it's a small concern because this is a dangerous lineup. There's a whole lot of R's next to these players' names.
Not a whole
and that's got to be why they were looking at Freddie Freeman, right? Because Garrett Cole, you're facing Garrett Cole how many times in a year? You're facing all these righties. So I mean that's a concern, but I mean
who's the lefty? Teoscar?
No.
Kevin
Biggio is the only lefty in this lineup. The only other two offensive lefties are Reese McGuire, a light-hitting catcher, and whatever a Josh Palacios is.
Biggio, huh?
Uh-huh.
He's the only left-handed bat.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This kind of makes me back interested in Kevin Biggio again.
Yeah.
As cheap access to this lineup. I don't hate the idea of
there were reports of the Blue Jays talking to the Guardians about Jose Ramirez. That would push Biggio out of the lineup for sure. Whether that happens or not, who knows?
Yeah, they would probably have to move Biggio in that deal.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably. And a whole lot more. But we shall move on. The Tampa Bay Rays, they signed Cody Reed to a minor league deal. They signed whatever a Jason Adam is to a minor league deal. These guys will probably pitch to a sub-2 ERA and have vertical movement of 23.5 inches and have horizontal movement out of the stratosphere. Like, it's... I don't know any of these guys, but you know at some point they're gonna get rostered because these are just Tampa Bay guys, right? They haven't done a damn thing. They still got to move Kevin Kiermaier, by the way.
I still don't know why they had to move Joey Wendell. I thought that was a little premature. I think they could have held on to him and had a pretty deep bench.
I think Yandy Diaz is the reason. I really do.
I also think Vidal Brujan is part of that equation also.
He might be. They've got essentially the same lineup they had last year, but Kevin Kiermaier is very obviously the piece that they want to move because he gets expensive after this year and in subsequent years. The rotation also gives me questions.
Yeah.
Shane McClanahan, Drew Rasmussen, Corey Kluber, Ryan Yarbrough, Luis Patino. Nothing excites me there. Nothing excited me there last year, and yet I had Ryan Yarbrough for 3/4 of the season.
What about Baz? Does Baz make the team?
Maybe. Or maybe they just keep him down there and keep him stretched out and then bring him up mid-season like they've done with McClanahan or Price or Snell. Like, this is the hardest team to try to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah. It's a bunch of guys who can, they might go on a run for 3 or 4 weeks, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is a really, really good guy. But they're only going to pitch 5 innings, you know? So it's like, what do you get with them? I avoid Rays pitchers as best as I can because you don't know what you're getting.
I get that.
I can respect that. We'll move on to the AL Central. The reigning champs in the AL Central, Chicago White Sox, added Vince Velasquez, 1 year, $3 million. Josh Harrison, 1 year, $5.5 million. Joe Kelly, 2 years, $17 million. And Nick Ciuffo in a minor league deal. Ben, what position does Nick Ciuffo play?
I don't know. I didn't even know that was a person. That's not a name I've ever heard before.
Me either. I honestly don't have the answer. It's Josh Harrison here, right? Like, he's going to be their second baseman. He replaced Cesar Hernandez.
Okay. I mean, it seems like a lot of money for Joe Kelly, but I guess he's had some good years there. For the Dodgers.
That bullpen now, with Joe
that
Kelly,
bullpen looks sick now.
Yeah.
The bullpen was already sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Liam Hendricks,
Crochet,
Craig Kimbrell,
Bummer.
Hendricks, Kimbrell, Bummer, Graveman, Crochet, Kelly, Vince Velasquez, Jose Ruiz.
Although
Reynaldo
Joe Kelly is not expected to be ready to pitch by opening day. He has a strained biceps.
Okay.
So
who's this?
Joe Kelly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But
it's good that they spent $17 million
on the guy who won't be ready for opening day. Yep. Lineup's great. Bench looks solid. This team's going to contend for the AL at the Central title.
So if they're going to trade Kimbrell, like, what
Maybe
do
they don't. Maybe they don't.
Maybe they don't, right?
Maybe they just sit on him and wait for a minute. You picked up the option, like, get something out of him, and then see if he boosts his trade value because he was awful for you in the second half.
You know, teams are going to be looking for closers, relievers mid-season. So, yeah.
Yep. And maybe you see what you need to really solidify the team by mid-season, and you can
Adam
use
Eagle
him.
isn't your right fielder.
They should go get. They should go get Nick Castellanos. That's. Or Michael Conforto would fit here.
Yeah, Conforto actually would be great because there's so many other
Another
offensive
lefty.
pieces.
Another lefty.
Yeah,
in there,
Like
too.
he doesn't have to be like the guy, but he can kind of hide. I mean,
I
that
like
would be
that.
nice to have good-looking outfield there with Luis Robert and Eloy Jimenez. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I like that.
The Detroit Tigers signed Ryan Lavarnway, Chase Anderson, Drew Hutchison, and Miguel Diaz, all to minor league deals. We don't care. Andrew Chafin is going to be their lefty, 2 years, $13 million, and Willie Peralta is a minor leaguer. The Tigers look promising. This, I think, just kind of shores up the bullpen. Doesn't really. It actually kind of muddies things because I think he was closing for the A's toward the end of the season, and it's not like they have a closer that they're going to be really proud of either.
Can Hutchison be something?
Hutchinson wasn't something in 2012 for the Toronto Blue Jays. He's not going to be something now.
And Chase Anderson, just an
Uh,
inning eater kind of guy.
was he even something last year? Wasn't he with
He was with-
Milwaukee?
He was with the Phillies.
Phillies. That's right. We punished his. No, we made him look really good, didn't we? We made him look like a Cy Young winner.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, every player did at one point.
Yeah.
The Mets were really good at doing that. Yeah. But I mean, he could be something, I guess. I mean, right now, Willie Peralta is their fifth starter as of this moment.
Yeah.
Why can't
That's only.
Chase Anderson be better than him?
Well, we're forgetting about Spencer Turnbull, who had Tommy John in the middle of 21, so we're not going to see him this year either. Don't they have a top pitching prospect that's left to come up? No, I guess not. They do need a 5. Losing it, getting Eduardo Rodriguez is great, but I think honestly you should have gotten in on this Gossman, Ray, that kind of group, and now that doesn't exist.
If Chase Anderson is now your number 5, you could do worse. You could.
Yeah, I suppose you could. We'll move on to the Kansas City Royals, who traded Mike Minor out of their rotation to go get Amir Garrett, who's going to be their lefty. And they brought back Zach Greinke, 1 year, $13 million to the Kansas City Royals. I do like that. I think he's going to be a great leader for a really young pitching staff who's on the rise. I do like the Royals pitching staff. Brady Singer, Chris Bubich, Carlos Hernandez, the one Daniel Lynch and Asa Lacy are the other two that I really, really like coming through their farm system. I love Greinke here, though. This will be
young rotation.
Oh, no doubt. The rotation is Greinke, Keller, Singer, Bubich, and Hernandez.
And they're supposedly talking to the A's about Frankie Montas, so we'll see what happens there. But
that'd be cool. That a move like that. Okay, they add Frankie Montas to this rotation. You understand how important pitching is in baseball, and that's a pitcher's ballpark. Mm-hmm. They got one of the best hitting catchers I've ever seen right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you add another team into the playoffs now in each league.
This is a team on the come. It's not
possible. I mean,
probably not, but I would love to see them.
Who's closer, Joe? The Tigers or the Royals?
The Tigers.
Right now.
The Tigers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tigers.
Yeah, it's the Tigers. But I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if the Royals pushed 500 this year. I said that last year, and they didn't get especially close to it. But like Whit Merrifield, Sal Perez, Andrew Benintendi on another year, Bobby Witt coming up, Nicky Lopez. What if he's real? What if Carlos Santana has a normal season because they outlawed the shift? What if that happens? I mean, look, I would like to
outlaw the shift. They restricted the shift. Isn't that
sure?
Two players on either side of second base.
Yep. 2 players on either side. Obviously, I would like to see them improve on Hunter Dozier and Michael A. Taylor. Those are the 2 players that they kind of need to improve upon.
I feel like Kyle Isbell could be the Michael Taylor replacement if he's something real.
Yeah. And Hunter Dozier, who knows? But we shall see.
Right.
We're going to move on to the Cleveland Guardians, who received, who they also sent away that J.C. Mejia over to the Milwaukee Brewers. They received catcher David Fry. Nobody cares. Then they signed catcher Luke Maile. Nobody else cares. And the Guardians are very, very bad. It's going to be a bad team. And yet they're probably still going to win like 75 games.
The pitching is okay. I like the pitching.
Is it?
But
it's Bieber and then what?
Cal Quantrill, Zach Plesac, Aaron Savali. It's not terrible. I've seen worse.
I don't know that anybody past Shane Bieber is a guy.
Savali can't be a guy. Quantrill and
I don't know that he's a guy.
Why not?
I don't know, because the only thing I've got to go off of Zach Plesac is the 2020 season, because he was bad in 2021. Cal Quantrill, what? Because he's got a major league daddy? Like what has he done? What has he done?
Okay,
Aaron Savali, did he had one good year, right? Was it 20?
Who was that man crush that you had on the Padres? That pitcher that kind of recently fallen off.
Chris Paddock.
Yeah. Right? Like at some point, this guy needed to prove himself before like he all of a sudden wasn't a guy. Like these guys all of a sudden will have a good year at some point. A Robbie Ray, like. I just wouldn't be stunned.
Not Cal Quantrill. Aaron Savali in 2021, 12-5, 125 innings, a 3.84 ERA. Impressive. Could he be the number 2? Maybe.
Not a lot of innings.
No.
Cal Quantrill, 150 innings, 2.89 ERA with 121 strikeouts. I mean,
how many starts was that though?
That was 22 starts.
Okay. All right.
Pretty good. Just a lot of no decisions.
These are guys that I'm like, I see you. Go do it on somebody else's team this year, and then we'll talk. Okay. You know what I mean? I don't want to take that risk on a team that doesn't have a very good offense either. I sense a lot of no decisions in their future.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Twins, they sent Mitch Garver to Texas for Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Ronnie Henriquez. I guess Mitch Garver we'll talk about when we get to Texas. So we would talk about IKF on Minnesota, but we're not going to. They signed Juan Minaya to a minor league contract. They traded Josh Donaldson, Ben Rortvedt, and the aforementioned Kiner-Falefa for Giovanni Urshela and Gary Sanchez. They traded Chase Petty to Cincinnati to get Sonny Gray. And they claimed Jose Godoy off of waivers from San Francisco. Ben, what's your favorite piece there? It's Jose Godoy, isn't it?
Yeah. So first, I'd love to hear some breakdowns on the lineup and rotation now with this new group.
Yeah, let's get Minnesota's roster resource pulled up. I do think that this offense is
it's interesting.
Respectable.
Byron Buxton at the top, Luis Arraez batting second, Jorge Polanco at short batting third, Miguel Sano, Max Kepler, Gary Sanchez, Alex Kirilloff, Gio Urshela, Trevor Larnach.
Yeah, that back end starts to look once you get to Sanchez.
Kirilloff might be a guy, but
Kepler could be a guy as well. Here's the thing. Right now, what are we looking Gary Sanchez as? Like, I can only see him as what he's been lately. Like right now, to me, he's a bad catcher that you're putting in the middle of the lineup, right?
We can't assume
right. New atmosphere back to 2017, 2018. Like, we just can't assume that anymore.
I don't think we're ever going to see 2017 again. You're not going to see this dude hit 278 with 33 homers and 90 RBIs. That is not real.
Especially not in Target Field.
Yeah. That's just not going to happen. Could I see what we saw in 2021 be a thing? 204 average, 23 homers, 55 RBIs. Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what Fangraphs is projecting, 209 with 20 home runs.
Yeah.
I
don't hate that.
I don't like that as my number 6 batter or 209 hitter. That's not going to work.
Especially when you have Miguel Sano, who's going to bat 205.
Right. Like, this is
going to be a bad team.
Very streaky hitter.
Yeah. This is going to be a bad team. We know this is going to be a bad team. Their ace just had Tommy John surgery and Kenta Maeda. Like, they're not going to be good. And that's okay. Yeah. You could still draft Gary Sanchez super late and get that 20 homers. And you know what? Bench him when he sucks. I don't hate the idea of drafting Gary Sanchez this year, because if it's just a new environment and he hits 240, if he hits 220,
no,
you're happy, right?
No, 220.
Where is Gary Sanchez going in the bigs currently, or on Yahoo? We got to find that out.
I got it right here.
I'd say as far as catchers go, he's got to be Does he make the top 10?
207 right now.
207 overall in the
That's
bigs.
high in the bigs. That's an early rounder.
It's the end of the 13th round.
Oh,
it's like the 13-14 turn.
No chance that happens for us. We're going away, other guy. We're going to bullpen pieces before we go to that guy. Ryan Tepera's on the team before Gary Sanchez.
Oh, come on. That's dirty. Not Ryan Tepera. Not Ryan Tepera.
If I know he's got a chance to close, man.
Hang on. I just want to pull up last year's draft would work. I mean, let's pull up last year's draft and see who was going at the end of the 13th round. Let's take a look here. The end of the 13th round. All right, Gary Sanchez or Richard Rodriguez, a bullpen piece. Let's equate Richard Rodriguez to whoever the Pirates closer is this year. Do you want Gary Sanchez, a 20-homer catcher, of which there are 4 maybe? 5 tops? Or Richard Rodriguez, or who is it? David Bednar?
Yes.
Okay. Adam Ottavino.
No, because he's not going to close for the Mets.
Okay. Jake Cronenworth.
I would take Cronenworth.
I think I would take Cronenworth. Tony 100%. Gonsolin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's really going to be the number 4, number 5 in that rotation. Yeah.
Aaron Savale. We were just talking about him.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I do too. Mark Canha, Willie Adames. Okay, yeah. I'm definitely taking all of these guys.
I'm looking.
You can go to the 14th round, the 15th.
That is the 14th round.
So,
Jason, Hector Neris or Gary Sanchez?
Come on.
No.
Come on.
Neither. None of the above.
What are you looking at, Jason?
Oh, I'm looking at Omar Narvaez, who's going 40 rounds later than Gary Sanchez, and I probably take Omar Narvaez before I take Gary Sanchez.
Oh yeah, I love that guy now. Thanks.
Better lineup.
Gary Sanchez just scares me.
Scary Sanchez.
All right, over or under 275? He goes in the bigs.
Over.
270. Let's see.
Picks, you mean? The amount of picks?
Yeah.
Where's that?
I could see him going in the 19th or the 20th round.
217 would put, or 275 would put him in the 18th round, beginning of the 18th round.
Yeah, I think he goes after that.
300 then. 300 would put him in the back end of the 19th round.
That sounds about right. That sounds right.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
You get a good discount on him if he has a nice year,
Yeah. Let's see the AL West. This was kind of crazy. Let's start with the Mariners. We're gonna start with a trade that we talked about earlier, but we talked about it as a bad thing for the fans of the Cincinnati Reds. Now let's talk about a fan base that we can all root for here in the Seattle Mariners. They get Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker from Seattle for Jake Fraley, Brandon Williamson, and Justin Dunn. They signed Steven Souza and Matt Koch to minor league deals. They signed mascot of the program, Big Dick Mike Ford, to a minor league deal. And they signed Chance Thong Song Cisco to a minor league deal. Benjamin Nisman. Let's talk about Jesse Winker. You love him.
One of my favorite players. And I'm just confused what the necessity was to trade a guy like this for Cincinnati. At 20, he's going to be 28 years old. Like, this is the type of player that you could build around for 6-7 years. I don't see the logic in moving him, but good for Seattle to get him and Suarez, a former 40 home run guy. I get that it's Safeco Field. It's not the friendly Great American Ballpark for these guys, but still, with that lineup that's now getting stronger and getting deeper, I think it's a perfect situation to put these two guys in there. Why don't you break down that lineup now?
Adam Frazier leading off. Jason loves him some Adam Frazier. Mitch Haniger batting second. He hit 40 homers last year. Jesse Winker does bat third and play left. Ty France, another Jason Ashby man crush, playing first base and batting fourth. I think I might be in on Jared Kelnick this year, who's batting fifth in center field. Eugenio Suarez replaces Kyle Seager, who hit
Seager.
35 homers last year. So he's at
100
third.
RBIs.
Yeah,
100
batting
RBIs for
sixth.
Seager.
J.P. Crawford, Ben's best friend, batting seventh at short. Tom Murphy is the catcher, and Abraham Toro slots in as the DH. I could still see these guys going out and getting stuff.
Yeah,
Also,
a real DH.
well, hang on a second. We're not talking about Kyle Lewis, the 2020 Rookie of the Year, who had knee surgery back in June of 21. He will be back. That's an option for DH. We're also not including guys like Dylan Moore, who was somebody people were creaming themselves over during the 2020 season. We're also not talking about Julio Rodriguez, who is, I think, the number one overall prospect in the minor league system right now that Wander Franco has come up. And he's an outfielder as well. He could factor into the rotation out there. I think most likely we're going to see Haniger and Winker splitting time between the outfield and the DH spot when Rodriguez is up. I could also see them going out and signing somebody. So, let's see.
Good looking team though right now, huh?
I like this team.
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody other than Matt Brash be in the rotation, but I like this team.
Well, with Robbie Ray is in the front.
Then Marco Gonzalez, Chris Flexen, Logan Gilbert, and whatever Matt Brash is. We're not. I mean, Justice Sheffield. There's not a whole lot more in the rotation here. You're not going to find much. I think they need to make some sort of move here, or they need to go get somebody, and there's not a whole lot left. Off the top of my head, I can't even think of a pitcher that's not signed other than Garrett.
Yeah, and they're not going to be trading with Oakland. I can't see
that's not going to happen.
You know, interdivision rivalry. I can't see it.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
I just want to see who's left. Let's see. Starting pitchers. Yeah. Homer Bailey, Zach Godley, Cole Hamels, Mike Leake, Rick Porcello, Jeff Samardzija, and not Anibal Sanchez. Yeah.
Mike Leake. Huh.
Yeah, those
Former
are the
Mariner Mike Leake.
Yeah.
No.
That's who you
gross.
got.
That's gross.
Is Marco Gonzalez something to write home about? I mean, I feel like I don't really remember his season very much. I'm about to look up what he did, but
no, he wasn't very good this past year. He has one good year. I think it was 2019. At least I think that's.
No, he was good last year.
Was
I mean, for 143 innings, which is
sub
not
4
terrible.
ERA.
Yeah, 396 with 108 strikeouts over 42 walks. The 29 bombs we don't like, especially. But hey, the WHIP at 1.17, I can live with that. I've seen much worse.
Yeah, 16 wins back in 2019 with an ERA around 4 and 200 innings. That's kind of what you're going with here. The guy's about a 4 ERA.
He probably wouldn't be a 2 on most other teams. But
no. I think this would be a decent number 4 on most teams, but I digress.
This guy right now, to me, is better than Yusei Kikuchi.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair, but sure. In the sense that he's the 2 on Seattle and Kikuchi's the 5 on Toronto.
But look at the money. Look at the money situation.
Sure.
What the heck is Marco Gonzalez making?
Pennies. He's probably still on some sort of terrible rookie deal. $5.5 million this year. He's signed through 2025. They have a team option for him.
And what did Kikuchi just get?
3 years, 36, which is 12 a year. I mean, Marco Gonzalez will make $12 million in 2024. The option is $15 million. I digress. We'll move on to the Los Angeles Angels, who they have done a whole lot of not shit. They have not done.
They haven't done anything, right?
No, they haven't done a thing. Is Noah Syndergaard really their offseason? They signed Kurt Suzuki for 1 year, 1.75. AJ Ramos to a minor league deal. Austin Romine to a minor league deal. Kian Wong to a minor league deal. Matt Duffy 1 year, $1.5 million. Archie Bradley 1 year, $3.75 million. Ryan Tepera 2 years, $14 million. They're trying to build a bullpen. It's that's all they're doing. There's no starting pitching still. This team is going to be bad. They're not going to make the playoffs again this year. And we're going to be another year closer to Mike Trout's career ending and being like over his career in the playoffs. I hate this.
Matt Duffy is now their starting second baseman.
Just call up. Just
so wait, Fletcher
call up fucking Danny Espinosa again then.
Even Fletcher is shortstop.
Fletcher short. Oh, what a team! I mean, offensively.
Ohtani, Trout, Walsh, Rendon, Stassi, Marsh, Adele, Duffy, Fletcher. What the fuck?
Well, don't act like that's like a bunch of nobodies.
Everybody after the first four is a nobody. And I like Joe Adele.
Right, but
I really do.
But the potential of the first four.
Justin Upton is taking up a bench spot right now, making $60 million. Like,
it's a bad signing, man.
This is a terrible team. This is a terrible team. They've been run terribly for a generation. They're wasting Mike Trout. And it's another season of this that we're going to watch Noah Syndergaard pitch 100 innings for them.
Generation. So they won the World Series, and it's just been awfulness.
It has. Tell me what they've done since they won the World Series in 2002.
2004, they had a really good year with Vladimir Guerrero, and they lost in the first round because Big Papi went insane. I don't know. Like, there were other times where they were good. 2005, they could have freaking won the World Series if there wasn't some weird play against the White Sox with the catcher. And it was a long time ago.
that Pierzynski play. I do remember the Pierzynski play.
Yeah, it was after that was game 2. In game 1, Paul Bird on the Angels just shut down the White Sox. So like I thought that the Angels were going to run away with that series, and then everything kind of turned around. You do remember the Pierzynski play?
I remember the Pierzynski play. They won the West in 2006. They won the West in 2007. They won the West in 2008. They won the West in 2009.
Okay, so how many years in a row did the Angels win? I mean, I understand what you're saying, that they've been disappointing, and they wasted Mike Trout.
They really have.
One playoff appearance in 2014, and they got swept out of it by the Royals. I get that, man. I get it. But even still, we're looking at them like they've had some success prior to the Mike Trout.
Yeah. That's the fucking problem, Ben. They were winning divisions year after year after year, and then they got the best player that has ever existed in our lifetime other than Barry Bonds. And
they got him to fall, and they got that not expecting it because they had Albert Pujols in 2012. And then here comes this guy in 2012. You know?
Yeah, and then they go get Shohei Ohtani, doing things we haven't seen since the Taft administration.
Babe Ruth.
We'll see.
This damn team. The Houston Astros landed Nico Goodrum 1 year, $2.1 million. Lewis Brinson on a minor league deal and Zach Rosscup on a minor league deal. They still don't have a shortstop. They're talking to Correa again. Is this where Correa gets his money?
I think it has to be this.
It's a good fit. It's a good fit, right? Like, I mean, Ledimus Diaz is not there, right? Doing somewhere else.
I think that's who they have, or either that or it's
really?
Jeremy Pena.
Jeremy Pena. That's the thing is, it's if they want to give it to Jeremy Pena, that's what's going to hold it up, because I know they're high on him. But
where else would they delegate their money, or do they not really have money to spend because they want to spend?
You still have Yordan Alvarez. You still have Bregman. You still have Gurriel. That you could. Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker's probably the actual answer. Yeah, Kyle Tucker's the real answer. Tucker, Alvarez, Bregman are the three that are next.
Not even Altuve.
I think he's 32 already.
Yeah.
And he's still under contract for another couple of years. Like, you're not re-signing him at 35.
Probably not. Depending on what he does, I guess, over these next few years.
And then Verlander comes off the books in 2 years.
Yeah. Don't have to worry about that. And you got some pitchers potentially.
Yeah.
I will say I like the Goodrum signing, because you've seen Bregman have injuries, you've seen Altuve have injuries. You know, you don't know who your shortstop is. This guy can play all. Michael Brantley has injuries.
This is Marwin Gonzalez. Like, that's what this is.
Yeah, it's a quiet signing, but I think I like it because like he can play everywhere.
Nice. All right, time to talk about the Oakland A's. Unless you want to save that for last, and we can talk about the Rangers first.
Which one's a longer discussion?
Probably the A's.
All right, let's leave it for last.
All right. The Texas Rangers signed Brandon Workman and Martin Perez to minor league deals, traded away Kiner Falefa and a minor leaguer for Mitch Garver. They signed Dan Winkler and Matt Moore to minor league deals. They signed Brad Miller. Hopefully he's not bad Miller. 2 years, $10 million. They signed Greg Holland to a minor league deal and Charlie Culberson to a minor league deal. The big thing here is we've got a new catcher in Texas, and his name is Mitch Garver. I tend to like it, and I have actually moved Mitch Garver up in my catcher rankings quite substantially.
I think also the moving of Kiner Falefa is just a way to open up for like what you're going to do with Seager and Semien now in the middle infield and DH and everything. It's just one other guy that you don't have to kind of figure out where he fits in the puzzle. So I like that about it. But what does Chris Woodward do here with this lineup? I mean, there's some decent things that you can do here to make it a formidable batting order.
What if I told you Willie Calhoun is the DH leading off?
I like Willie Calhoun. I don't know if he needs to be the DH though. I'd like him more as an outfielder if you had like a real thumper in the DH spot.
Okay. So it's him leading off as the DH. Semien and Seager, second and short. Nathaniel Lowe bats fourth. Garver fifth. Brad Miller playing third, batting sixth. Adolis Garcia in center, batting seventh. Cole Calhoun in right, batting eighth. And Nick Solak in left, batting ninth.
I don't hate it.
It's not great.
It's not great. No.
I get what they're doing.
I don't like that third baseman is really their starter.
So they have a top prospect who just had shoulder surgery, and I think that this is directly reactive to this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would be seeing a different name at third.
Yeah. I mean, look, right. I to Ben's point, like I can see, like, is Adolis Garcia really a center fielder? Like maybe he's a DH, and maybe Calhoun is in center field.
Yeah.
Like
that makes more sense to me.
Either way, I don't think this
what's the rotation look like?
Yeah, right? So John Gray, Martin Perez, Dane Dunning, Taylor Hearn, AJ Alexi. Allard is the long man in the bullpen. They are still without Jonathan Hernandez and Jose Leclerc because those guys both had Tommy John in 21, so you're not going to see them this year. If you do, it'll be the end of the year. Spencer Howard was a top prospect for the Phillies.
Yeah.
They got they got him in the Gibson deal. Yeah, it was the Gibson deal. Honestly, I still think this is a fourth place team. Like,
who do you think they're better than?
I could see a way they're better than the A's.
For sure.
Yeah, it depends on what else the A's do, but
I could see a way that if the A's are, they're going to be better than the A's. They're going to be better than the A's. They're a fourth place team.
The A's are not done shedding people.
They could be. The Rangers could be a third place team if everything breaks wrong for the Angels again.
Right.
And I do see this as a way. Like I could see a way the Mariners fall apart. Dude, I could see it.
You know what's really weird about this division? Without Correa and the rotation being what the rotation is in Houston, I don't know. Like I don't. Call me crazy, but like I just don't know how to believe in that Houston group of pitchers because I only saw them for 1 year, and now I feel like everyone has seen them. They might not do what they did. I don't know, man. I think that division is going to be fun. It could be really up in the air.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun division to watch. Again, I think the final two teams we're talking about here are the two that will be at the bottom of the division in some form or fashion. Probably. And let's move on to the Oakland Athletics. They traded away Chris Bassett. They traded away Matt Olson. They've traded away Matt Chapman. There are rumors about them trading away Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas. I don't think Ramon Laureano is safe. I don't think Sean Murphy is safe.
Stephen Piscotty.
So it's interesting you bring up that name specifically. Do you know how much money they have on the books after the 2023 season? $1 million if they pick up the option on Stephen Piscotty. That's it. This is a team that is shedding all of the payroll and all of the necessary assets to leave Oakland. It is disgusting. This is a fire sale. This is bad for the sport. We talked all the time about Mookie Betts and how it was bad for baseball that he was getting traded as one of the top players in the game from a team that had absolutely no problems making money in spite of itself. But why did they have to trade away Mookie Betts? This is worse. This is a group of players. This is 5 guys that are going to be leaving one franchise, a successful franchise, a playoff franchise, to go to all these other teams. And they've done it time and time and time again. What is the difference between this and the Rays, I'm sure, is the question.
Yeah, I think, firstly, the Rays have only been a team since, 1998? Mm-hmm. Whereas Oakland Athletics have what did they win? They were basically the closest thing to a dynasty as there could be, like in the 70s.
And the 80s. They were good in the 80s. Yeah.
The 89 championship. I mean,
the 2000s, they were great.
The early 2000 group with Giambi and Tejada and Eric Chavez, those 3 pitchers of Mulder and Hudson, Zito.
And that's exactly the type of team I'm talking about here. Is look at that exact group that you just mentioned. Jason Giambi, Eric Chavez, Miguel Tejada, the 3 pitchers that we talked about.
Homegrown,
basically. And all homegrown. And all fucking sent away. Never stayed there long term. Eric Chavez was the only one who stayed there long term.
Yeah.
Josh Donaldson is another example of them doing
Moved to Toronto.
Yeah. Yoenis Cespedes is another one. Like
terrible trade for Porcello.
Yeah.
Oh no, for Lester. My mistake for Lester.
How many times are the A's gonna do this? And now it's very apparent what they're doing. It is very obvious.
Move? You think they want to move?
I think they're going to.
Montreal, Carolina, Las Vegas. What do you think?
It'll be difficult. It'll be difficult to move to Vegas because you already have the minor league team that you already spent public money on building a few years ago. Either you're going to renovate that and build it up, or you're going to make it a practice facility, move the AAA franchise somewhere else. Oakland seems to have an opening, and and build a new stadium, which you've already used public funds to build the Raiders stadium. What the fuck? That Vegas is difficult, but that's only because I lived there that I know that. Montreal, I think you would be better served putting a new franchise there.
Maybe a Sacramento. I mean, I'm just trying to think of other towns in the West that could potentially.
Portland sounds like it's a decent idea.
Portland potentially. I don't know if that's a baseball.
I mean, if you could build a stadium in San Jose, it might work.
Oh yeah.
At least you'd keep it in the same area. I don't know. But it is terrible for baseball what the Oakland Athletics are doing. They're going to finish last this year, and it's really
are any of these prospects? Do they get anything notable in
return
when they're getting all these trades? You know, because
absolutely, because they're not a bad front office. They're not a bad front office.
Shea Langeliers, especially if they're going to trade Sean Murphy, Shea Langeliers could be up this year, and he is a top catching prospect.
Which is what makes me think that Sean Murphy's not safe.
Right.
Christian Pache makes me think that Ramon Laureano's not safe because Christian Pache is a starting outfielder. He's not great. He's going to remind you quite a bit of, I don't know, Coco Crisp, decent defense, a little bit of a bat, but no power, a little bit of speed, good defense. Langeliers is a good one. Joey Estes and Ryan Cusick. I mean, they're pitching prospects from the Braves. We know the Braves churn out good pitchers. There you go. The Mets gave up JT Ginn and Adam Oller. Adam Oller was the minor league pitcher of the year in the Mets organization. He's 27. He's not going to fit here. He's not going to really work. So let's get something for him. And we got Chris Bassett for him. I'm happy about that. Kevin Smith coming from the Toronto Blue Jays is the shortstop of the future for the Oakland Athletics. He is a top prospect from them. The other three, I don't know. Great. Bad for baseball. The Oakland Athletics, the Cincinnati Reds, both what they're doing is bad for baseball. It's bad for this sport. You don't see things like this happen in any other sport.
It's so weird though. You heard all these rumors about the Colorado Rockies owner being such a cheapskate, and then he goes and signs Kris Bryant.
Like, yeah, but how is that deal structured? And is he going to trade him in 3 years?
Right, probably.
Right? Like, that's the dumb shit, too. It's like, oh, look, I'm spending money. Meanwhile, it's $162 million contract or something. Yeah,
there's a method to his madness on spending that money. He's not staying.
It contains a full no trade.
So? The team's going to suck. Of course he's going to waive that no trade. Are you kidding me?
That's true. He could waive
that doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
I mean, when he might not do it the first few years, right? But he's going to waive that thing when he's 34 and the team's still in last place. And he's playing next to, I don't know, the next failed prospect that's supposed to come up. Zach Veen is the next fucking Colorado prospect that's going to fucking flop. Quote me on that in 2 years' time when Zach Veen ain't shit. Hate the Rockies, hate the Cincinnati Reds, hate the Oakland A's. So far, what do you guys? Who do you think is the real winners here? Who's the real winner of this week that we've had? Ben, I'll start with you.
You know, if I could go to one in each league.
Yeah.
I would say for the National League, man, it might be. It's either the Giants or the Braves right now for me. For different reasons. I think the Braves really did a good job solidifying that offense. Again, I think making Eddie Rosario the guy that you bring back with Duvall, of all those guys that you brought over during the trade deadline. I thought that was quality. And then, of course, the Giants adding Rondon, adding Jock Peterson. I really like those moves. And then on the other side, on Toronto, for the AL, I just, you look at that team, how now they have Chapman there. Chapman, the strikeouts do scare me. Like, he does strike out a lot, but I guess I just feel like there's so many bats in that murderer's row that he's just another guy that you can't throw a mistake to. So I would probably say Toronto's my American League winner.
I certainly love Matt Chapman in that lineup, and I like the discount you're getting on him this year. Jason, who are your winners from the American and National League?
Yeah, I was definitely going to go with Toronto in the American League, but to change up a little bit, I'll say Seattle. The trade to get Jesse Winker, and look, Suarez isn't nothing. Even if he does bat 211, if he hits you 35 bombs, like, okay, cool. So yeah, I'll go with Seattle for that. And they didn't give up anything really. I mean, they gave up, Jake Fraley, Justin Dunn. Like, okay, and call it a homer pick, but I love the Chris Bassett trade. Slotting Bassett in as our number 3 behind DeGrom and Scherzer, like, it takes the pressure off of Taijuan Walker and Carlos Carrasco and McGill and Peterson down the line. And he's a horse. So I call the Mets our winner of this week.
My winner is obviously the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NL. You get Freddie Freeman and Clayton Kershaw back on your team, and you've done pretty well for yourself, I would say. Over in the AL, I'll say that I could see a way the Yankees' moves will work out. I could see a way it works out. I just don't think it will. I think they're all too one-dimensional. For that reason, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's not the Angels. It's not the Astros. Yeah, no, I'm with you on the Mariners there, Jason. I really am. Jesse Winker really creates a different dynamic in this lineup. And Eugenio Suarez essentially just replaces Kyle Seager. And
Yeah.
if he's nothing more than what Kyle Seager gave them year after year, that's fine. They were doing
Really
fine
good.
with it.
Yeah.
How about a loser in each league, Benjamin?
Well, I mean, as far as the AL goes, you're still waiting for the Angels to do something.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you look at them and you say them in Houston are the ones that you point to your fingers to, and you're like, what are you doing here? Like, step up, do something.
Yeah.
Over on the National League side, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about the Cardinals rotation.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, what are we talking about here? You know?
Well, Jack Flaherty did go down with some hang on. Flaherty is down with a shoulder issue. So as it stands right now, Wainwright, Flaherty, Matz, Dakota Hudson, and Miles Michaelis are what's slotted at this point. That's about it.
I mean, this is a team that won how many in a row? Like 17 or something?
Something ridiculous.
Down the stretch. You know, I like the offense a lot, right? Like, I love what Tyler O'Neill and Dylan Carlson could be as these, like, young guys, and Harrison Bader even as, like, this pesky guy that could play 130 games. Nolan Arenado, amazing, not striking out. Like, they're a really good team, man. But the rotation, I just don't know what to expect from Wainwright. Like, I can't expect as good as he was last year.
Right.
And if that's the case, and Jack Flaherty, whenever he comes back, Nicholas, like, Dakota Hudson, right? Like, Matz, you know what Matz is. What is Matz going to bring?
Matz is not a 3, and that's where they have him slotted. He is not a 3, and that's where they have him slotted. Jason, who's your loser from this week?
Yeah, so you talk about teams doing nothing. I mean, the Rays and the Padres did nothing. Yeah. Literally nothing. I'll also kind of point to the Marlins as a team who I felt like could have done something and really didn't do anything. And I don't know if the whole Derek Jeter thing like blew up everything, but I know they've been in on Nick Castellanos, and that hasn't happened yet. So,
it's a weird.
Castellanos wanted to go there.
Yeah, he's from there.
Weird.
He's from Miami. He wants to go home.
Yeah.
And Miami's like, okay.
No.
Weirdo.
We're good.
We suck.
We'll stick with Lewis Brinson. We're good.
Right.
But the Rays and the Padres literally did zero. So they're my losers.
Red Sox for me. Red Sox and Padres. The Red Sox have done nothing. And they've lost Chris Sale to a broken rib. They've seen the Yankees improve their team. I mean, it is a step up at third base. Yeah. I've yet to see what they've done at catcher. Like, let's see what they do. And defensively, they're going to be okay. There's still no speed, but the Red Sox won the division last year and have done nothing. They signed 3 relievers. I'm not impressed. They were in on Schwarber, didn't get him. They were in on Freeman, didn't get him. They didn't get Rizzo. They didn't get Olsen. So now
I gotta jump on you there. They didn't win the division last year.
You're right. They didn't. The Rays did. I'm done. Either way. They did, however, make it to the DS round and
to the championship
round.
They
went to they went to the ALCS. So you want to improve this team, and they just haven't, and it's pretty disappointing to see that. Like I said, all of the guys that they were in on, they haven't gotten. And the Padres, the same thing. They can't get anybody to take Hosmer. They're stuck with him and Will Myers on terrible contracts that they want to move. Nothing, no pitching upgrades, no bullpen upgrades. They let Melanson walk and did not replace him. Now Fernando Tatis is out 3 months. Padres, congratulations. Your offseason sucks. It's the worst I've seen.
Why is there such a – I understand it's like a bad contract as far as it's a lot of money for this guy. But why is it the guy batted .269 last year, he had a .337 on base percentage? Is Eric Hosmer a guy that you have to get off the team? I mean, if you're trying to compete now, isn't this a piece you need with Will Myers?
It's not that it's not that Eric Hosmer is a bad player. What you just said is decent numbers. However, as I'm stalling because I wanted to pull up his contract and didn't have it readily available for me, he signed an 8-year, $144 million contract that the Padres are still on the hook for the next 4 years on at $20 million apiece. 20 million and then 13 after that. Yeah. And they're all player options.
He can opt out. Yeah, he can opt out after this year.
But Eric Hosmer is not going to be opting out. Eric Hosmer reported to camp looking like he was dredged out of the East River. He looks out of shape. He looks like he has eaten himself. It is not good. This dude is an anchor on this team at this point, and we really thought when he signed this deal that this was going to be the first of many great moves for the Padres. This guy is not it. The Machado deal and the Tatis deal, those are great. And if Hosmer had been in that realm of Matt Olson, Pete Alonso, Jose Abreu, if you spoke Eric Hosmer's name in there, he would totally be worth this deal. But dude, him or Brandon Belt?
Right, similar.
Yeah. And Brandon Belt's making
Ty France.
Yeah. Jesus Aguilar.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at with this guy, and he's bringing in a shit ton of money. He's terrible.
He's such a big fan of him, the way I used him against you in the Bigs playoffs.
Damn. You waited all this time for me talking shit on Eric Hosmer to pull that one down.
Yeah, why not? Why do you think I asked about him?
All right, real quick before we wrapped up. Nick Castellanos, Michael Conforto, Carlos Correa, Trevor Story. Who's the fifth?
Kenley Jansen.
Those are the 5. Who's the first to sign? And where is he going? Or pick one and tell me where they're going to go. Ben.
Geez, one of those shortstops go to the Angels. I don't know which one.
Okay, fair enough. Jason?
How about this? I like Michael Conforto to the Red Sox. Right now, their right fielder is Jackie Bradley.
Ugh.
I mean,
he's good there.
Yeah, good defensively.
Yeah, so why not just plug in Conforto? Same lefty bat, but with a...
Wouldn't that block Jarren Duran though? Don't they like that kid?
I don't know.
I feel like they like that kid.
I feel like if you're gonna win, if you're the Red Sox, you want to win now.
You're trying to win now.
Oh yeah,
I can win now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And had you signed Freeman to this long contract, I think a lefty fits in this lineup too. I think Conforto would work there.
What you do then is put Kike Hernandez at second base, get rid of Christian Arroyo, and move Duran to center field. There you go.
Oh, there you go. That makes sense. Yeah.
What are you doing with Kike?
Kike, you're just playing him at second base. And if you sign Conforto, you can move Jarren Duran to center field, get Christian Arroyo out of the lineup, and there you go.
You don't need Arroyo in there.
Yeah. I have no earthly idea where Carlos Correa is going to get $300 million from in this market. I don't think the Angels are doing that.
No,
I don't think they can.
If it's not Houston, then who?
If it's not Houston, I don't think it's anybody, and I'm willing to believe he signs a 1-year deal and tries again next year.
Maybe.
What about Trevor Story to the Phillies?
So in order to do that, you're telling me that Didi is not their shortstop, and I think there's too much of a commitment from Joe Girardi to Didi. He loves that guy, and I don't think he wants to hurt his feelings. He writes out the lineup card, and I think until Didi proves that he can't be a starting shortstop, he's a fan favorite. And
shit, he is making $14.5 million.
You're not going to put him on the bench. Not this year.
There were talks that, after the Twins.
He's a free agent at the end of the year, Didi? Was it a 2-year deal? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
They were talking, after the Twins traded Donaldson, there was talks that, they have money now, so maybe they go after Story, move Polanco back to second, and move Arias to the outfield. But
The Twins.
So much ridiculous stuff can
It's a
possibly
lot
happen.
of money for the Twins to spend. I don't
Gosh.
They just say if it,
but they just got $50 million off their books.
Yeah.
Where does but they're not trying to respend it necessarily. They could just pocket that money. You know?
No doubt.
Where does Kenley Jansen go?
I still think he goes back to the Dodgers.
Jason?
I feel like if Kershaw did, he could.
If the Mets are going to sign one dude out of all these, you make Jensen the freaking closer, man. How much better does that team become with him as the ninth inning guy?
Don't put that in my head.
Just saying.
He's not a lefty, though. We don't have a lefty in the bullpen.
All
right. We will probably be back next week to do the exact same thing, at least at a smaller scale. We won't have this much to do. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Ben Nisman, you're staying up the latest with us here on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's been a longer show than anticipated, but a lot to talk about. It's been a really busy week, and I'm grateful to have baseball back. So pleasure doing it with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Jason Ashby, thank you so much for being here as well.
Absolutely. And, just real quick, I was thinking about it. We only had maybe a week before the lockout and then a week after the lockout. All of this, the entire offseason has been comprised of 2 weeks. All these moves that have happened in the entire offseason has happened in 2 weeks. Incredible.
Insane. Absolutely insane. Until next week, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you know every time we go live or we upload new content. For those of you listening on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, any of the listening platforms that we have out there, thank you so much. Share this with your league mates, or don't if you want to win your league, because the last 5 champions of the Bigs are 2/3 of this show. Yeah. And finally, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. It's the Bigs Podcast. We post all of our bloopers from there. Fortunately, we did have a blooper tonight. That'll be fun. That'll be a new upload. Until next time, guys, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the Bigs. We'll see you next time.